Woo! Welcome, One Crack News. Let's get back to some real content. Um, back to the storm. Now let's take a look at what many people deem as a humiliation. Many people looked at this and said, "This is very humiliating. I don't know why would they do this to this black man? Why would they did this to this black woman? But they would have never done this to anybody white." So now we have to address that conundrum. Now, was this a race thing or was this a race thing? And the answer is it was both. But I look at it as this: you have to know better. Everyone was trying to figure out was Fani Willis, what she did when she hired him. Did she hurt herself? Because black women is like, oh, if she ran for office, oh my God, black women gonna vote for her in a heartbeat. That's right, girl. You don't just tell them. That's right. You tell them, girl. She got that woman told. I'm like, well, I understand some things about the situation. For black women to see that, and I know when a black woman's mad, and she was mad, but mad ain't always the right response. You see, when you're mad, everything will be masked against you, and they will use it against you, and they will definitely dignify it and classify it as angry black female. You see how calm this black man is? Now, the reason why no one's attacking him is because he stayed calm. He stayed a professional. He stayed a gentleman. Even if you don't agree with what he said and the things that he said, for mostly, he really didn't say anything wrong. But the only thing they're going to question her about is some of the accounts that he said, and it all comes down to money. Where's the money? Where did the money come from? Did you take campaign money to do this? How did you get the money? Where's the money? So it's all about money talk, because they're trying to find any grounds to where they could get a disqualification and they have to retrial and redo this whole thing over. It don't mean that Trump is going to skate. What's up, everybody? Right. It don't mean Trump is in the clear. He finna skate. He finna walk. Everything here is done. That is not the point. The point is you're looking at a situation that's finna get way out of control because they didn't understand and they underestimated everything that they had to do. They thought, well, their life is their life. So you got to understand that you're prosecuting a man that they don't want back in the White House, no matter what. They don't want him back in office ever. And this is serious. This is a collective event from New York to Atlanta to everywhere. This man, they have broken rules, countless of them, just to prosecute this man. And you have him in a situation where you're going to get ready to process this man and start this whole thing. This has been 3 years. This is a long, lengthy, drawn out trial. And now this hearing was done microwavably quick. And the DNC could not keep this under control because this man couldn't, well, I wouldn't just blame him. She also couldn't control their feelings for each other. And I'll be like, after this trial, we can get buck wild and naked. But while this trial is going on, we can't be having this. Now, while all of this was happening, the state of Georgia, and as soon as after about an hour of grilling, almost 2 hours of grilling this man about all of the stuff he was going through, poor Nathan had to hear that. Now I'm like, Nate, dog, you had to go through all of this. And as soon as they do that, the court resumes right in the state of Georgia. They resume the case, and the first person that comes over is Fani Willis. She was not even asked or, saying, summon her to come in. She was in her office. Right after his testimony was done, she's there. You see, and this is fair use, fair use, fair use. We're only using this for commentary purposes only. Don't forget to donate to the Cash App Casino, where we stay junkie free. Junkie free over here. No junkie mans over here. That's right. Hit that like button. So through this whole process, right, they're all waiting for the next witness to show up.
Hey, you have an hour this week, right? Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I forgot what ads look like. I forgot on One Crack News their ads, because on Casino for Life, I don't have it.
Great. I can teach you how to play 100.
I don't want you to teach me how to do nothing, dude. Just go through the process so I can get rid of you. So here she comes storming in. Storming like normal. And this is the DA. Look how she coming in. Boy, look at her, boy. She came in there ready to go. She came in there ready to go, boy. She's shaking that Fani. Fani shaking that Fani, boy. She coming there ready to go. Hot. Probably an AKA, too. Look at that. Shaking that Fani. Oh, she's pissed.
Do you swear me, Your Honor? Whomever would like to.
Got deputies behind you.
Ready to get sworn in already.
Wait a minute. Let everyone get situated, and then we'll go back on the record.
She sat down and immediately is ready to get sworn in. She can't wait to kick this off. She came with the hot pink. Everybody like, she got the dress on backwards. Whichever one, front to back, back to front, it didn't even matter. It's an all-purpose dress. She ready to go. She probably got a quickie in with old Nate. Oh, Nate, dog, they got a little quickie in. She had to get that dress back on. They calling you. Oh, okay, go on, baby. Go on, handle it, baby. I smoked them, baby. You heard me, baby. Ah, you did your thing, my big chocolate huh? Oh, yeah. Then next thing you know, he got a quickie in, and then, you know, old Fani shook that Fani in there. She's like, I'm finna set her straight. You get him, baby. You get him, baby. Did I do good, baby? Oh, you did good. Oh, man. Yeah, she probably was a bad number in her day. You know, AKA day, probably stuck up and bossy as hell.
Sir, you got like tissue in here?
Now, here she goes. Look at old Miss Fanny.
All right, we are back on the record. Deputy Scott, if you could swear in our next witness.
I would, and I do apologize. Hannah, give me a favor. Put them on my knees. I'm gonna need glasses. After you swear, tell me what I need. Yes, sir. District Attorney Fani, Fani. Last name is Willis.
Ms. Willis, how did you know to come into the courtroom right then?
There were people I was pacing in my office,
Okay.
and I heard someone yell, "His testimony is done." It only made sense to me that I would be your next witness, and I've been very anxious to have this conversation with you today. So I ran to the courtroom.
So as soon as you heard that Mr. Wade was done testifying, that's when you just assumed you would be the next witness?
It only makes sense.
Did you listen to any of the testimony?
I've been in my office pacing, ma'am.
Did you listen to any of the arguments?
I did hear the arguments this morning. It's ridiculous to me that you lied on Monday, and yet here we still are. And I did listen to that argument.
All right, so that was it, just the argument, no testimony.
Right, I listened to the argument this morning where Adam Abadi, I thought, did an excellent job pointing out how dishonest you were with the court on Monday. And I'm actually surprised that the hearing continued, but since it did, here I am.
Great.
Yep, now that is true. Now, this is what people don't remember. Oh, remember that stuff they used to have on TikTok? She paid for that stick. She did this for the stick. She even took the stand for that stick. Remember everybody was TikToking and doing that garbage? You know, I don't do trendy. That's y'all thing. So anyway, let's get through this. Fani Willis right now just told her the truth. That lawyer lied and all Monday told a bunch of lies and inaccuracies. She was telling theory and speaking on it as if it was fact. She was making speculations and basically proceeding as if it was facts, making up all these lies, but they were beholding all this information because they claim they have a witness. This witness looked like she just bought a new wig. Somebody gave her some money, and she just came up and just started making up all kinds. They've been together since December 9th to 2019. That woman don't know what the hell she was talking about. And it was upsetting to her because she was insinuating as if Fani Willis was just giving up to Fani on the first date. And that just made her mad. Woo-wee. That made old Fani mad.
So let's just talk about what you did in preparation for today. Did you meet with Mr. Wade at all? Once the motion was filed, did you meet with Mr. Wade and talk to him about the motion that I filed to disqualify you?
On this first January motion?
Yes.
I don't know if you could say talked about. I probably had some choice words about some of the things that you said that were dishonest within this motion. So I don't know that it was a conversation. As you know, Mr. Wade is a Southern gentleman. Me, not so much.
Okay, but
Woo! He's a Southern gentleman. Me, not so much. She is mad. She big mad. Now, this whole thing comes down to crimes. Was there crimes committed here? That's what people want to know. Well, that's what I want to know. Everything else is for show. And what this lady was doing was not having her information done correctly. This lawyer, only thing she knew is that, they found the little loophole. So they found a thing where they can open up this guy's personal divorce information and start going down this road. And they go through the road of Nathan, Mr. Wade's, rather, his divorce. So Nate the Snake over there, in his divorce, he has been away. He did not lie. They keep saying he lied. He didn't. You see, black folks is different. And how do you people think like, oh, you and your wife, y'all weren't together? No, they've been legally basically separated since 2015. He's actually stated that. Since it was they would not go and repair that. She cheated on him in 2015, and he said, we're getting a divorce, but we got children. The same way white folks do it. White folks will do this and stay married to a woman that they don't love or nothing, just to keep up the faith. And when the kids go to school or they go off to college, they separate. When everybody out the house. And that's exactly what happened here. Soon as his wife, they daughter went to college, they started going through the divorce filings. They were already separated. The wife and him were not together no more. They stood together for the kids. So I understood that. She should have understood that. So I understood what they were trying to get at. Trying to make it look like Fani Willis destroyed the marriage. They didn't know the wife was the one who was the adulterer. So Nathan didn't cheat on his wife by dating the DA. But since it looks that way, like, hey, you was married. She's messing with a married man, So now the whole story flips back around. Now they like, oops, but we got to find a way to get out of here. Now we got to go for the money. Now, how did you pay for the trips? How did you get in the rooms? How did you do this? How did you do that? Now all of this stuff is gonna come up. Cause now they big move has now turned to crap. So now they gotta prove were they dating before the trial started? Did she hire this man and this is a boyfriend? So none of this happened. Anything to do. They were just trying to make it as humiliating as possible. They asked a lot of questions they didn't even need to answer. Like they just wanted to grill them. But they needed to be on the grill because y'all brought this situation to a head when y'all decided to start screwing around in the middle of this case. Taking trips and vacations, and it's his birthday. I mean, I don't give a damn whose birthday it is. We got a case here. We working on this case. This case is going to be 3 years. We're going to have to lock this down. Every receipt for every dinner, every cup of water you got for the last 3 years, everything, your books better be clean because they coming. Your nephew in jail, he going to have to do the time. I can't get you out. Come on, you could just call it. I can't call nothing. You know what I'm going after? Well, in fact, don't even talk to me. You shouldn't have done the crime. Don't do the time. You got to understand your plight. You are going you're going after one of the biggest names in this whole game. Trump. So when you say that, it's coming with everything. It's going down.
My question was, did you have a conversation with
I didn't
him?
have a substantive conversation.
You did not.
I read this motion, skimmed it more so, and I've probably said some choice things to him about some of the lies that were told.
Okay.
And then printed in the media because, we used to be in a day and time where you had 60 Minutes and people did stories and they verified information and you had this great reporting. But it seems today that a lawyer writes a lie and then it's printed for all of the world to see.
And that's true. That is true. A lawyer nowadays, You can write anything you want. Even a lawyer can write a whole bunch of stuff and make it try to look like it's facts, even though it's a goddamn lie. That's what they do.
Well, I just want to make sure that you answer the question I asked, though. So my question was,
Overruled, Mr. Abadi.
I told you what happened. I read the motion. I am sure I told him what my opinion of it is.
Okay.
And past that, we had no substantive conversation.
you did not.
Is there something you didn't understand?
No, I just wanted to make sure that
Okay.
you did not have a meeting with him in the conference room to discuss the
All
motion.
right, next question,
No.
Ms. Merchant.
Now, to show you how bad that lawyer is, she just asked the same question that was answered like 4 times in a row. Four times. The judge said it's overruled, because she's already answered the damn question. This is how bad this lawyer is right now. Like, this lawyer is basically doing a hack job. What's up, Tasha? Oh, yeah, it's a hack job. This lady's doing a terrible hack job right now because she's answering the same questions over and over. Everybody's trying to speed this thing up because we don't need to be here this long. And you're making it longer, asking the same questions over and over. Listen.
How did you know to come into the courtroom right then?
There were people I was paid this first January motion
Yes.
in a date and time where you had 60 minutes and people did stories and they verified information, and you had this great reporting. But it seems today that a lawyer writes a lie and then it's printed for all of the world to see.
Well, I just want to make sure that you answer the question I asked, though. So my question was,
Overruled, Mr. Abadi.
Now, here we go.
I told you what happened. I read the motion. I am sure I told him what my opinion of it is.
Okay.
And past that, we had no substantive conversation.
you did.
We have no substantive conversation. That means no, we did not talk about it. Now, here it is.
Is there something you didn't understand?
No, I just wanted to make sure.
Is there something you didn't understand? I said we had no substantive conversation. So we did not talk about this subject.
Sure that
Okay.
you did not have a meeting with him in the conference room to discuss the
All
motion.
right, next question,
No.
Ms. Merchant.
So in
Right, next question. The judge got to come in and tell her next goddamn question. You've already had this question answered. Can we please move on?
the conference room of my office within this week, you produced some financial document. That financial document was given to me, something, and I'm not even sure who's given it to him by me or Mr. Abadi gave it to me. And I think he showed me a document in our conference room. But as far as a substantive conversation, I don't believe I've had any conversation with him that is substantive related to this.
Okay.
I have had conversations with him since you filed the motion, but they wouldn't be substantive to this. He sent me very nice sermons that have been done. And so we've had conversations about, did you listen to that sermon? You know, things of that nature. And I would say they were in relationship to this because I think he did it to be kind.
Let's start back in 2019.
Yeah.
So you and Mr. Wade met in October 2019 at a conference?
That is correct. And I think in one of your motions, you tried to implicate I slept with him at that conference, which I find to be extremely offensive. I stayed at that conference. Mr. Wade was my teacher. I did not meet him when he taught the class. I was standing outside talking to Lisa Reeves, who is a judge. Me and her were just having a conversation.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, right then and there, Because, first of all, she's not gonna sleep with him on the first date. One, he just met the person and that was it. He was gone about his day. He was there to speak. I know because other people were there in that meeting. There were other people there. It wasn't like we finna go have a dinner. We just met. Let's go get a room. It doesn't work like that. Especially not with a teacher. Somebody who's there to teach the class. He's there to do what he got to do, and he got to go because he has another engagement he has to do. They have schedules. He has things he has to do in his own. These two at the time, they weren't even in the same county. So 2019, if you knew their job titles, it's ludicrous that even think that they were even romantically involved. If they did at that time, that would have been an impossible, a love at first sight type thing. Y'all tried to make her sound like a bust down or something.
Mr. Wade walks up. I think they hug each other. They have some brief conversation. She introduces us.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. We kind of thought that when you asked the question, you can answer the question, not a speech, so I object to the speech.
I agree,
believe I'm
Judge.
able to explain my answers.
I believe she's able to explain her answers.
And that's,
Ms. Merchant, that's okay. I can handle it. Ms. Willis, I'll ask you just listen to the answer, or excuse me, the question, and keep the answers confined to the question as best you can. I think you'll have more than enough ample opportunity on when the state is
Well,
able
it's
to ask
highly
follow-ups.
offensive when someone lies on you, and it's highly offensive when they try
Judge.
to implicate that you slept with somebody the first day you met with them, and I take exception to it.
All right. Well, Ms. Willis, she'll have the opportunity to explain all of that when it's the state's turn to ask more open-ended questions.
Yeah.
Ms. Merchant.
Yeah, she's just mad. She is ticked. Now, the thing is, that really got her hot, but she's explaining too many questions. They trying to get through all of this.
thank you, Judge. So again, my question was, you all met at that conference though, right?
We did the
Okay.
meeting. He, as I stated, he taught the class. I did not actually meet him when he taught the class. I walked out of the class, and I'm not sure if it was that exact class or we had went to lunch, but we were standing in the vestibule, like outside of the class. Me and Judge Reeves were having a conversation. She had worked at a law firm I worked at back in 1996.
We're getting way afar. I mean, I don't mind her explaining her answers, but I literally just asked if they met at that
She's
conference.
explaining how she met Mr. Wade, which was exactly the question asked by Ms. Merchant.
It was,
These answers are more than appropriate.
Ms. Merchant, if you want more concise answers, perhaps you could lead the witness.
I will. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. The judge is trying to tell her how to do her job. What she's answering is exactly what you asked her. She's just explaining it out in detail so you won't miss anything. Now, if you want a more concise answer, like he says, lead the damn witness. Do your job is what the judge is trying to say. The judge is, man, this dude is like hanging on like, will y'all please get through this? The judge don't even want to be there today. That's how messed up it is. The judge don't even want to be there. I'm not.
Isn't it true that you met Mr. Wade October 2019 at the judges
We
conference?
haven't gotten to the point where Ms. Willis should be treated hostile in this situation.
I think we
And
have.
I'm very
Mr.
much
Everybody.
want to be here, so I'm not a hostile witness. I very much want to be
Not
here.
so much that you're hostile, Ms. Willis, it'd be an adverse witness. Your interests are opposed to Ms. Merchant's.
Thank you.
Merchant's interests are contrary to democracy, Your Honor, not to mine.
All right, let's
Judge,
proceed.
I would just ask that
We
we,
can keep things moving. Ms. Merchant, next question,
Thank you.
please.
okay, so we've confirmed when you met. After that, isn't it true?
No, I need to explain this, and I think I get to explain my answers. When I met him, Judge Reeves introduced us. He handed me his business card. I'm unsure if I handed him my business card, but we exchanged information. He said, if you ever need any help, give me a call. And he walked to the parking lot.
So after that, you started dating shortly thereafter, correct?
That's a lie. That's one of your lies.
She's right there. This is a terrible lawyer. This lawyer is terrible. She goes right there and says, so you guys start dating shortly after. Who said that? You just interviewed a man who just told you they did not date at that time. They didn't date till years later. I'm somebody who has dated women years later after meeting them. Years. Normally because I was busy. Or we just met, and it's just somebody I knew, and it just never happened to go on a date. We both had things going on, and when you deal with these situations, you have to be on point. And this lady is not on point. She's just throwing it at the wall, hoping stuff will stick. All of this is like lies. She's like, that's another one of your lies.
Do you know Robin Yurdy?
I know her as Robin Bryant.
Now, Robin Bryant is that woman that looked like a bag lady with these big old librarian glasses and this fake ridiculous wig that they didn't probably gave her. And somebody done slid her a check, and now she in here talking about they were a couple, and she the only witness holding this lie together. But let's go.
I knew her. So Robin did not go to my college. She went to the college of, I went to Howard University. She went to Morgan State. I met her through some people I knew. In college, we hung out a bit, not much because she was in Baltimore and I was in Washington, D.C., but we hung out a bit. After college, I lost contact with her. I probably didn't see Robin again until maybe 7 or 8 years ago, a chance meeting here in Atlanta, but we did not have a consistent relationship from when I left college and came to Emory Law School here in Atlanta. But 8 to 10 years ago, just by happenstance, I ran into her. So she was in Atlanta.
You have been friends with Robin for 30-something years.
Did you hear my answer, madam?
Yes, and I'm asking if you've been friends with her for 30-something years.
I've known her for 30-something years. We certainly hung out and partied together in college. She was from the DC area. She would come home, we'd party together. Wasn't close, but she was certainly in the girlfriends that party together. And then, like I said, I ran into her about 10 years ago in Atlanta, Georgia. But we didn't talk throughout that time period. I didn't see her. I didn't even know where she was. When I ran into her, I was surprised she was in Atlanta. And so, yes, I have known her probably since 1990, 1991, but we have not maintained a consistent relationship that whole time.
Now, she's explained it to the fullest. Let's see what happens now.
For the last 10 years or 5, whatever you'd like to classify it as. Have you been friends with her?
I have not spoken to Robin in over a year. I certainly do not consider her a friend now. I think that she, there's a saying, no good deed goes unpunished. And I think that she betrayed our friendship.
So let's narrow it down, the timeline now. So my questions are going to be from the time period of 2019 until she no longer was employed for you, the last time you all talked. So all of my next questions are just focused on that time frame, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Up until she left your office.
Yes, ma'am.
During 2019, you all were friends, correct?
Yes, we knew each other in 2019.
During 2020, you all were friends, correct?
We were friends during that time period.
During 2021, you all were friends, correct?
Yes.
And such good friends that when you needed a place to stay, you asked her if you could take over her lease.
That's a lie.
You did not move into her apartment?
I
or her
did, but
condo?
that's not the way you characterize it is wrong.
I asked if you could take over her lease.
I did not ask if I could take over her lease.
Did you move into her apartment?
I moved into her condo in April of 21. The circumstances around that were that Robin met her husband. They wanted to move into another and separate place. She wanted to get rid of her condo. My father was living with me at the house. Because of this case and because of my stance on gangs, my life was being threatened regularly. My father urged me to leave our home. At the same time, as luck would have it, Robin wanted to give up her lease because she wanted to move in with this new man she met, who eventually became her husband. And so as life circumstances worked, my dad was begging me to leave the house. He was afraid for me, afraid for his grandchildren. She wanted someone to take over her lease so that she didn't, have to pay a fee or get abandoned. And so I don't remember when, but probably March or April of 21, I move in and take over her lease.
And did you pay her? Or did you pay the leasing agent?
No, I don't even know who the leasing agent was. I paid her.
You paid her.
So what is she trying to do? Gobbles. Let me tell you something. You must not be able to process what she's saying. And I think that's where the disconnect is. She said, and it's very clear, I don't know why y'all having a problem processing what she's saying. What she's actually saying is that she knew this girl when they partied 30 years ago when they were in college, hanging out in the DC area, all that. They didn't keep in contact. It was only about 10 years ago that she's like, oh, you're back in town. Like, she didn't know she was in Georgia. So over the past 10 years or so, she's been knowing her, but they weren't frequently hanging out and friends for 30 years. They weren't in contact. So only in this past, like about a year ago, they've been knowing each other. She's like, she haven't talked to her in over a year. But when she moved out of her place to go move in with this husband, she wanted her to take the lease. Since she's been going and trying YSL with death threats coming after her and everything else. And then with Trump, the dad's like, look, for my grandkids' sake and your sake, you got to get out this house. They know your address. They know everything. So you're going to have to get out of town, like get out the house. All this is going on. So that's when she took over the lease at that condo because she happened to be moving out to go in with her husband, the other lady. And this was in May or March or whatever of 2021. So I'm having a hard time figuring out how y'all are not processing this. And you're listening to the same thing I'm listening to. Are y'all listening to the case at all? Are y'all listening to anything that was just said? How the hell you not get that? How you not understand that? That's what I'm just like, that's real easy to follow.
Did you pay her cash or did you use a card?
There were some times that I would give her cash, but mostly I paid her via Cash App. That would be the most convenient thing. So I would not only give her rent, but then like when the utilities would come in, whatever the utility was, she might be like, I need $70, I need $100, whatever it was. And we never had a problem with money. Whatever she told me it was, I never asked to see a bill. I never questioned her. I just gave it to her.
What percentage would you say you paid cash versus Cash App?
Oh, the vast majority was Cash App. I don't know what percentage. I'm not going to guess that. But the vast majority was Cash App. But there would be times she would say, this bill came in at $70. Here goes $70.
Did you have a monthly rent amount that you paid her?
I can't remember. It was $1,500. I can't remember what it was. And it would vary, which I don't understand to this day. But like I said, I never questioned her.
When did you move out?
She said it was. That's what I paid.
When did you
I
move
abruptly moved out in February, either late January or early February of 22.
Of 22.
Yes,
February 2022, is that what you said?
January, February of 22. I believe it is January, but I paid her half the rent of February of 22 is what I remember. And because I was offering to pay the whole rent, even though I didn't live there, I didn't think it was right. I ended up just paying her half the rent.
So that's after you moved out. You said you paid her half the rent. Okay. And the time that you said you had to move out of your house because you were scared, did your dad stay there at your house?
My father was concerned. Yes, we were both concerned.
Okay. But he remained there.
My father was 80 years old. He would have been 79. He was scared to death of COVID. You have to go back to when this was. My father's an older man. I wanted him to move out. We had some discussions about him moving out. And
that's about the COVID. I don't need to hear about that. Let's speed that on up.
Text two people on one text message. So if you told me that happened and showed it to me, it wouldn't surprise me, although I have no recollection of it.
But there would be some record of it in your phone, or the phone records would have some record of those texts.
Perhaps.
Talk about, you said that sometimes you paid Miss Yurdy cash.
I don't
When
think
you
I-
went,
I'm sorry.
sorry, when you went on vacation with Mr. Wade,
This is where the lawyer is so stupid, because this is where she should have started at. Okay? She wasted everybody's time about her taking over the lease of this place. Why were we even going through this? None of that had anything to do with this situation whatsoever. Nothing.
let's just go one by one. Let's start with the first
She should have started right here.
one. What's the first time you went on vacation with Mr. Wade?
I think the first time we went on vacation was around April of 22, and it's a vacation is a stretch, but I'm trying to be comprehensive. I recall April of 22. His birthday is March the 18th. So that would have been his 49th birthday. I took him to like Tennessee for the day. I think we went to a museum. I think we might have stayed the night. I'm not sure, but I mean, Tennessee's kind of hard to call a vacation, but I just am trying to be inclusive. And it, like I said, I know it wasn't more than a day.
So you didn't spend the night.
I think that we did. That's what I'm telling you. I think that there's a possibility that we stayed that night in April of 22.
Who paid for the hotel?
I think I did. It was his birthday.
And would you have used a credit card?
Probably maybe a debit.
And when did you start dating?
When I started dating Mr. Wade, it was right around then. 22. Yes,
2022.
it was around then. I don't know, like, it's not like when you're in grade school and you send a little letter and it says, will you be my girlfriend, and you check it. I don't know the day that we started seeing each other, but it was early 22 is my recollection.
Okay, early 22. And you all went to Florida on vacation as well?
I don't recall going to Florida on vacation with him.
You never went to Florida with Mr. Wade?
When we went to get on the cruise ship, we went to Miami.
Okay, that's the only time that you went to Florida with him?
I think we went to Miami and spent the night. That's my recollection.
Okay.
I think we spent one night so that we wouldn't miss the ship. That's my recollection of our
Who paid for that hotel?
in Miami. I don't remember that.
And how'd you get to Miami?
We would have flown. And we've done that, so that I'm clear. We've done that twice. I think one time we stayed, and I honestly can't tell you, did we stay when the ship left or did we stay when the ship came back? I also can't tell you. So there's 2 cruises out of Miami. There's one that's in that October time period that was with his mom. And then there was another that was a New Year's Eve trip. I know I paid for the New Year's Eve trip because the tickets were $697 each. And I thought, this is ridiculous that the tickets are $700 to go to Miami. But when you travel during New Year's Eve, they get you.
So let's just back up and talk about the first time that you went to Florida with Mr. Wade. That was the time that you said you stayed in Miami at the hotel the first night?
That's the time I told you I am not sure. So I'm not sure of 2 things. So I want to make sure that my testimony is clear. I'm not sure if we stayed in Miami on the October trip. I'm not sure if we stayed in Miami on the December trip. I just can't remember that. And I also don't remember, so that the record is clear, I don't remember if the necessity was as we got on the ship or we got off the ship. But I do remember there was a night spent in Miami because either whatever, I don't remember. But I think that there was a night.
She don't remember because she was getting tossed up. She was tipsy, boy, and that Fani was wagging. Old Nate the snake was tearing that up, boy. She don't remember nothing. Mess around, hit you with the Hennessy, dick, hook around, go blind, don't remember that. Yeah, she don't remember nothing no more. She don't remember her name. She don't remember how she got somewhere. Nothing. She can't remember none of that, boy. He didn't nail that to the cross. She really don't remember. I believe her. She don't know. She was toe up. You want her to remember something from 2 years ago? Everybody in there, she lying. I'll be saying, you wouldn't remember either. You can't remember 2 weeks ago. Yeah, well, these things happen.
Night spent in Miami.
That cruise is the one that you took in October, right?
Ma'am, if you have something to refresh my recollection, I'm intentionally trying to not be difficult with you, but I don't want to make up something.
Right.
I know that on one of those 2 trips, we stayed in Miami. I am not sure right now. You're asking me about.
Oh, I'm sorry, you misunderstood. I was not asking you which night you stayed in Miami. I'm asking if you took a cruise in October 2022 with Mr. Wade.
Yes, and his mom.
And his mother. That's what I was asking.
Yes.
Is that the first time you met his mother?
Yes.
It was on that cruise. And that was Royal Caribbean, I believe?
I honestly don't remember what ship. I know we've taken 2 cruises. I don't know what the ships were.
But he paid for the flight and the cruise on Royal Caribbean that time.
So yes, he paid. He is the original one that does it. He has something called, Mr. Wade is a world traveler. I'm not as versed as him. He's been to 6 of the 7 continents. And so he has both a personal travel agent and he also has a cruise travel agent. I don't know anything about either of those kind of travel agents. So he is the one that would book the travel, but we need to be clear when we're talking about just because he booked it doesn't mean, like, I don't consider him having taken me anyplace. Let me just be honest. The only one that's ever taken somebody someplace is for his 50th birthday. I consider that I took him to Belize. And I took him to Belize because, I don't want to discuss his personal business, but I'm happy Mr. Wade is still here with us. And I did 50 big, very big.
So still on that October Royal Caribbean cruise, even though he had a travel agent. I'm sorry?
If you do me a favor, I don't know what cruise ship, what time. So if you'll help me and say October cruise with mama or the New Year's Eve trip with his sisters, I'll be able to, we can communicate. I just don't know what ship.
October cruise with mama. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He paid for the cruise and the flights for that trip.
So he called his cruise agent and he booked that through them because he has a cruise agent.
Right.
He also has a regular agent. I don't know the cruise agent's name.
So I wasn't asking about his travel agent. I was just asking
but
if
I'm
he
trying
paid
to,
for those.
He did not though.
Okay.
Because the reason I consider that he did not is I gave him his money back.
And I was about to ask that, but initially he paid for that.
Yeah, he called his cruise agent. Like, I think they have his card on record. They do whatever.
Okay. So initially he paid for the cruise and the flight to Miami and the Royal Caribbean cruise.
And my understanding of that October cruise is like, it was a package the lady did for him.
And I'll get to the reimbursements and all that. I'm just trying to confirm he paid for the flight and the cruise in October.
And I think that when you say things that way, I want this record to be
Initially.
abundantly clear that he calls his travel agent, he calls his cruise agent. They do whatever he tells them. He's like on a first name basis with these people. They do it. And then he tells me how much it is. and I give him the money back. I don't, just like you're asking me about the money with Robin, I don't do my friends like that. So if you tell me it's a G, then you're going to get $1,000. If whatever it is, I didn't.
Yeah, if you tell me it's a G, you're going to get 1,000. Look at old gangster DA, baby. It's a G. It's a G. You know what it is? It's a cool G, baby. Yeah, you tell me it's a G, you're going to get $1,000. Now everybody know what's a G, baby. Yo, if it's a G, you're going to get $1,000. That's what it is. Look at it. Hey, this GA is gangster. Hey, I told you she from the streets. Told you she from them streets. Man, if you say it's a G, then you going to get that. If you say it's a stack, you know, give me 10 bands. Man, you know, she be like, man, what? Just 10 bands? What's a G, Mrs. Fani? Yeah, so I don't know. Do you think that helps or hurt her talking like that? If you say it's a G, it's a G.
Ever make him produce receipts to me. Whatever he told me it was, I gave him his money back.
Isn't it true that he paid for the
I'm
cruise?
gonna hit her up in the email and be like, yo, it's a G. Can I get $1,000? Oh, thank y'all for the Cash Apps too. I appreciate that. I do appreciate the Cash Apps donations. I got one for my Pistons shirt yesterday. They was loving that with the Detroit Pistons. Uh-oh. Let's see what time it is. Hello? Not right now. All right. Okay, don't know why they called me with that. I apologize. But y'all had to be subjected to such a crazy call. Let's go.
On the flight on his credit card. I'm not asking about reimbursement or after. He used his credit card to buy the cruise and buy the flight, correct?
I have no idea how he paid for it.
Okay.
If it's a credit card, if it's a debit card, but certainly he called his cruise agent. You know, like how many people have a cruise agent? He calls his cruise agent, tells them where they want to go. They tell him what's booked. You have to remember, he paid for that initial was me, him, and his mother.
And then after that cruise, you all flew to Aruba and spent a couple days in a hotel there, correct?
Right, and his mother was not happy.
He
that we left her
initially paid
behind
for that. He initially paid for that.
for Aruba. Yes, ma'am.
So let's talk about both of those. I know he initially paid for it. Did you pay him back?
For the cruise and for Aruba, yeah, I gave him his money before we ever went on that trip.
You gave him cash before you ever went on the trip?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so when you got cash to pay him back on these trips, would you go to the ATM?
No, lady.
You would not go to the ATM.
No.
Okay. So Fulton County pays you direct deposit, I assume?
Yes, Fulton
Okay.
County and the state of Georgia both pay me direct deposits.
Okay. So the cash that you would pay him, you wouldn't get it out of the bank.
I have money in my house.
You have money in your house. So it was just money that was there.
When you meet my father, he's going to tell you as a woman, you should always have, which I don't have, so let's don't tell him that. You should have at least 6 months in cash at your house at all times. Now, I don't know why this old black man feels like that, but he does. When we were growing up, my daddy had 3 safes in the house. So my father's bought me a lockbox, and I always keep cash in the house. Now, I don't do it to the degree that my father would do it, so he would probably be ashamed with me.
He'll be ashamed that you're giving up the boo-boo on the job. Papa going, Pop, what are you doing giving up the boo-boo on the job? You know you out there, this man, you in there giving up the boom boom. My own daughter, in the street, in the front paper. I'm reading it, I'm right here, reading the journal, and right now you in there giving up the boom boom. I told you, keep 6 months worth of money in your house. Now people finna start raiding her crib. They know she got money in the crib now. They like, man, they finna come kicking the door in. You got 6 money, you got a stash spot in the crib. They ain't coming now. They gonna come at the Pops now. You gonna get Pop's house raided. Pop gonna be, oh my God, hey, get out of here, you whippersnappers. Trying to hit her with a cane. Baby, where's it at, old man? We heard the trial. He said he thought I DM Fanny. Come and get me a fanny pack, baby. I need a fanny pack, baby. Where's my fanny pack?
I always have cash at the house. That has been, I don't know, all my life. If you're a woman and you go on a date with a man, you better have $200 in your pocket. So if that man acts up, you can go where you want to go. So I keep cash in my house, and I don't keep cash as good in my purse like I used to. I don't go on many dates, but when you go on a date, you should have cash in your pocket.
So my question was, where did that cash originally come from? If it didn't come out of the bank?
Cash is fungible. We've had cash for years in my house. So for me to tell you the source of when it comes from, when you go to Publix and you buy something, you get $50, you throw it in there. It's been my whole life. When I took out a large amount of money on my first campaign, I kept some of the cash of that. Like, to tell you, I just have cash in my house. I don't have as much today as I would.
She took out money from cash from the campaign. Did she just say that? Did you hear that? I just took out money from a campaign. Oh, you did?
You should have at least 6 months in cash at your house at all times. Now, I don't know why this old black man feels like that, but he does. When we were growing up, my daddy had 3 safes in the house. Fungible. We've had cash for years in my house. So for me to tell you the source of when it comes from, when you go to Publix and you buy something, you get $50, you throw it in there.
See, this is what happens when you talk too goddamn much. You answer the question and move on. You volunteering too much information. Now you finna open a door that you finna open a door that they didn't even know about. Now, listen to her say she took some money out of her campaign. Now they finna take the whole thing they were going to. They gonna be, okay, we got a smoking gun now. Now we got something to work with.
It's been my whole life. When I took out a large amount of money on my first campaign.
She took out a large amount of money on her first campaign.
I kept some of the cash of that.
She kept some of the cash of that. Now they're going to be like, you kept campaign money. They finna spin this into a whole big ball and try to throw it.
Like, to tell you,
wow,
I just have cash in my house. I don't have as much today as I would
that made her look
normally
bad.
have, but I'm building back up now. So you just put money in. It's a very good practice. I would advise it to all women.
So you can't identify when you came into this cash or where the cash came from?
I didn't say I couldn't identify it. No, nobody gives me anything. I am sure that the source of the money is always the work, sweat, and tears of me. What you asked me for is, when did the money go in there? What I am trying to tell you is, so I got divorced in 2005 from my husband. No. It's important. You said, where did the money come from? And I need to tell you where the money came from. And so for many, many years, I have kept money in my house. That money in my worst days has probably only been $500 or $1,000. At my best days, I probably had $15,000 in my house at cash. At all times, there's going to be cash in my house or wherever I'm laying my head.
The money that you paid Mr. Wade, the cash in October of 2022, you do not know where that money came from.
I do know where it came from. It came from my sweat and tears.
You know which job it came from. Did it come from Fulton County or did it come from a private
It
job?
came from, I'm not a, what are you talking about? So it could have come from a private job because before I was.
This is a woman that's not listening to the witness. It's like, what are you talking about? I just gave you the longest explanation about where the money is, saving money in my house, and you want me to act like I break the money up and to know where it's my money. Did this money that you paid for that, did it come from this? Or did it, what the hell are you talking about? It's my money. If somebody gave you a 20, your auntie gave you this, and then you went and paid a bill with it, then you gonna say, well,
I was in private.
I got this part from auntie, and I got this part from a job. It's your money.
Practice. So I earned money during that time period. It's probably in there.
You don't
It
know
could
where.
have. What do you mean? I don't know where it came from. I
I
absolutely
understand the situation. We can move on.
Okay, thanks. Same with Aruba. You don't know where that cash came from either, right?
Ma'am, you are mischaracterizing my testimony greatly. I'm not going to allow you to mischaracterize my testimony. I know that I keep money in my house. The amounts of money I gave Mr. Wade, it was never that serious. I don't think I've ever handed him more than $2,500 in a reimbursement. So we're not talking about $20,000 in cash. I don't have $20,000 in cash right now. The most I ever gave him, I know I gave him $2,500 when we went to Belize because we went to one hotel and then we went to a second hotel. That $2,500 I actually gave him while we were still in Belize. I know that the Aruba trip, the one that you described with his mom, I think I gave him about $2,000 for that trip for like total.
His mom went to Aruba with you?
The Aruba trip. So I consider that to be one trip. So we got off of a cruise ship and then we went to Aruba, which is why I cannot remember is that the time that we had to stay in Miami to wait for the flight for Aruba. So I consider that one trip that we didn't like come back to Atlanta and leave. We flew down to Miami. We got on a cruise ship. We spent a couple of days with his mama. We came back to Miami. When we came back to Miami, either that day or the next day, we flew to Aruba. We spent a few days in Aruba and we came back. That was really one trip. Even though we went two places, it was one trip.
So let's talk about the California trip.
Napa.
Is that when you were moving your daughter out to California? When you all went, or did you have two trips to California?
My daughter doesn't live in California.
Did she ever live in California?
I'm not discussing to you the location of my child.
So how many times did
Look, this is a terrible lawyer. This lawyer just asked her for the. Oh my God. She just asked her for the location. Oh, yeah, this is all under fair use. We're only using this for commentary purposes only. But she's asking her. You see that? That's pathetic. You asking this woman the whereabouts of her child. Why? You see what I'm saying? This is what I mean by having a terrible lawyer who's terrible at this. Everybody omit this and missed all of this terribleness by this lawyer because they were so focused on Fani Willis. You not even thinking about how poorly of a job this woman did.
you go with Mr. Wade to California?
Once.
And you all stayed in Napa Valley and he paid for the plane tickets and the hotel?
He paid for the plane tickets and the hotel.
And what did you pay for on that trip?
I gave him much less cash that time, probably $400 or $500, and then I paid for a bunch of stuff. I think we did 2 different wine tours that you do, which are pretty expensive. I think I bought him. He likes wine. I don't really like wine, to be honest with you. I like Grey Goose. I bought him a bottle of wine.
Woo! I got some goose for you, baby. The goose is loose. Get you some Grey Goose, baby. Look at she's like, I don't really like wine. I like Grey Goose. I like to get towed up. Look at old Fani. She coming in there to dress all backwards. Shoot. Old fanny pack. I like Grey Goose. So if you want to get some answers out of her, you better give her some Grey Goose. The goose is loose, baby. Shoot, everybody know what they got to come with, baby. Send her a bottle of Grey Goose. I'm going to get old fanny pack ready. Oh, she a problem. But you see, she's always paying to play. She paying for him. If he spends some money, she give it right back. She making sure she give him some money. And that's what old Nate the Snake, boy, he in there snaking it. That's why they call me Nate the Snake Wade. Yeah, baby. Look at me snaking it. Ah. Now give me my money. Oh man!
While we were there,
Nate
and
the
the
Snake
sippings that you
Wade,
do.
baby.
I can't remember how many, like 4 or 5 different places you go. I remember we went to this place that they do pairings. That was the most expensive thing that I think that we did while we were there. So they would pair champagne, chocolate, and caviar. It was a 3, and it was like 3 different things: Sweden, Russia, someplace else. I'll make that up. But that was the most expensive thing we did that trip, and I paid for that.
You pay cash?
For us doing that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that trip did not cost me a lot of money. I might have took like $750 in cash on me because we weren't gone very long.
I was
And
just,
then
I'd only asked if you paid in cash. I don't need to know the amounts.
when I travel, I always take cash.
And is the cash that you keep in your house, or do you keep it at the condo that you were living in?
So at that point, it wouldn't be at my house, and I'm sorry if I was not clear. The money would be wherever I laid my head. So I wouldn't leave the money at the house. So if I was unclear, no, money's going to be where I stay.
How much did you pay for your trip to Panama?
To where?
Panama, I believe.
I didn't go to
I
Panama.
may have the location wrong.
I never went to Panama.
So
Mr.
after
Wade went to Panama with his frat brother.
Oh, he went to Panama with his frat brothers. So tell me about, let's see. So I want to make sure I've got them. I've got Belize. You already covered Belize. You covered.
You don't know what the world you are doing, lady. This lady don't know what she's doing. She ain't prepared. She's just making up stuff, and she go, was Panama? I might have the dates wrong. Well, if you got them wrong, then you don't know what the hell you doing. You supposed to be asking me the questions. How you up here and you ain't got stuff?
Covered the.
So let me tell you our real trips. In October, we went on the cruise with his mom. We got back from the cruise with his mom, and we went to Aruba. I consider that one trip. Second trip, New Year's Eve, we went on a cruise to the Bahamas. That's the second trip. I want to make sure I get this right. Third trip, 100% on me. I think he might have spent $200 on that entire trip. We went to Belize. That was my trip. That was, his 7 o'clock, going to get something to eat. And I don't even know that they would have taken him or if he would have driven himself, but they've taken me to do that. But we're talking very few, very far in between. Most days I don't even eat lunch. And when I do, it's because my assistant has heated up some bag, something, and I eat through meetings and eat in my office. It's not a practice of mine to go to lunch.
During the time.
Now she's asking about lunches. Who's paying for lunch? This is the dumbest lawyer I probably have ever seen in a case of this magnitude. She has totally dropped the ball throughout this entire grilling process. All she's doing is, it's like grinding teeth. You're like, will you please find a point and arrive at it? You're bad at this. That's what I would have told her. I've been like, you're bad at this. I'm not a hostile witness. You're bad at this. I mean, really, she is bad at this. This lawyer is so dumb. I'd have been right there like, I'm firing you as soon as this over. The judge is butting in as much as he could to speed the thing up, but he can't. What can he do for the lawyer's ignorance? The lawyer questioning her as a Democrat. She's representing Trump. She's representing the Trump people.
Time period that you were dating, would your security team ever take you two together anywhere?
No.
Never.
If there was a lunch that occurred that I just described, if there was a meal that occurred that I just described, anything outside of that, and it needs to be very clear. Not often, once, twice, because I want to be over inclusive. I'm saying once or twice. I'm not certain that it happened, but I'd rather be over inclusive with you.
So your office objected to us getting Delta records for flights that you may have taken with Mr. Wade.
And well, no, look, I object to you getting records. You've been intrusive into people's personal lives. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial.
So my question.
Woo! Now she getting hot. Y'all blocked me from getting records. No, I blocked you from getting my records. Y'all trying to be intrusive in my personal life. I'm not. Right. That's right. Now y'all gonna get the black woman out of her now. She really finna get ghetto.
Do you have any
I
problem?
object to you getting any personal records of mine.
We're not dealing with privilege through a witness.
And I'm not, no, I'm not dealing with privilege. What we had offered to put them in camera for the court to review, and I just want to know if she has any
That's not
problem.
something you deal with a witness.
Right. She is a witness. So you're not finna put her personal records up for everybody to see. No, sorry, not happening. This is a terrible lawyer.
Okay, you have to file as part of your job something called an income and financial disclosure report, correct?
That's correct.
And you filed your first one, so you filed 2 to date, is that right?
Is it 2 or 3? I probably would have filed 21, 22, and maybe I haven't filed 23 yet, because isn't it due like June of the next year?
April, I believe. So you filed, let's see, you filed your first one, it looks like April 15th, 2022, and your second one, April 17th, 2023. Does that sound familiar?
That I don't remember the dates, but you're an officer of the court. I'm gonna hope you're telling the truth now.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
Thank you. I already gave the state a copy. Exhibit 20 and 21. If you take a look at those. They're from the certified records.
Can somebody bring me some? Yeah. Guys are getting a little old. Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
those are the ones that you filed.
This looks like me for sure. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Judge, we'd move to admit 20 and 21.
I think you need to delineate which one's which
20
one's which.
is 2021, so it accounts for the time period, Your Honor, January the 1st, 21 through December the 31st, 2021. That is Defendant's Exhibit 20. Defendant's Exhibit 2021, it accounts for the time period, January the 1st, 2022 through December the 1st of 2022.
All right. Any objection to exhibits 20 and 21
Nope,
No,
sorry.
from other counsel? Admitted without objection.
When did your personal relationship with Mr. Wade end?
Our personal relationship ended in this year.
Uh-oh.
So let's be very clear so that we don't mix words. I don't want to mix words in here. Mr. Wade is my friend right now. Mr. Wade, I would say, has been my friend since 2020. I think he started out as like a mentor and a professional colleague. He became my friend and somebody that I really respected. I feel very indebted to Mr. Wade for taking on the task of this job. And he is certainly my friend and one of the people that I respect the most. So if you ask about a personal relationship, I consider myself to have a personal relationship right now, Mr. Wade. I consider myself to have a personal relationship with Anna Cross. I consider myself to have a personal relationship with Mr. Abadi. I consider myself to have a personal relationship with Andrew Evans.
Okay, let me
And
just
so
clarify that.
I
before we
have a
go.
personal relationship with him as we speak right now.
A romantic
I don't think that's what you're asking. I think that's what
romantic
you're asking.
relationship. When did your romantic relationship with Mr. Wade end?
My-
Did it end?
Me and Mr. Wade, we are good friends. My respect for him has grown over these 7 weeks of attacks. We are very good friends. I think, but for these attacks, it would have been a friendship that, as life goes, he would have stopped having. I think that you have cemented that we'll be friends to the day we die.
Right.
That,
Could
let's,
we just have an answer to the question?
I can handle Mr. Seda. Let's have it.
She asked about a personal relationship.
She asked when the romantic relationship ended. That's the question.
It sometime in I'd say late summer of 2023. So I don't believe me in this is what you're really asking about. This is the salaciousness of all of this, right?
No, I'm just
when
asking
you're
about your
re-
romantic relationship, when you stopped dating. Asking.
I think that me and Mr. Wade, so he's a man, he probably would say June or July. I would say we had a tough conversation in August. So that men in relationships at the end of physical intimacy, women in relationships when that tough conversation takes place.
And where, when did he come to, I guess, the condo? I'm not sure what you called it, condo apartment. Would he come and stay at that condo or visit you there? I'm sorry, visit you there.
What condo, what apartment? I want to be clear.
So not your house. I know you classified one as house and one as condo. So I'm trying to use those terms.
So but there's been more, see, what you don't understand is because of this case, I got to move. And so I
Ms.
need
Merchant, if you
to,
could ask a more precise
Yes.
question.
please give me the time period. that we're talking
Mr. Wade
about.
visits you at the place you laid your head.
When?
Has he ever visited you at the place you laid your head?
So let's be clear, because you lied in this, let me tell you which one you lied in, right here. I think you lied right here.
Your Honor, I'm gonna-
No, this is the truth.
Judge,
And
this
it is a lie. It
We're
is
gonna-
a lie.
Ms. Willis?
You see-
Mr. Seda, thank you. We're going to take 5 minutes. Be back in 5.
Oh my goodness, they had to take a break. The judge is like, I gotta take a break. That's right. He's a man, so for him, it ended right when he stopped hitting it. It ended when he said, "Hey, this money is a little light. You gave me $250. Do I look like a $250 man? You better get this fixed." Dude, he wasn't happy about that. Chocolate milk time. She got mad. Which one is it? You lied in here. You lied in here. You lied. It's all lies. They were like, okay, we're going to need a break. The DA losing. Man. Shoot. Oh, Nate the Snake Wade, baby. He coming in there like, look, babe, I done put this pipe down. I need my money. Oh, the money light. Oh, okay now, Miss Fani. I've been wearing that Fani out for a long time. I don't want to hear about that money light. Come on now, Miss Fani. Now, she's not Trump's lawyer, but she's representing the Trump side, meaning the guy that's with him. Trump has filed his own appeal based on this same information. So far, I'm hearing a nothing burger. A nothing burger with cheese. Everybody's talking about this money. Where did the money come from? If the lawyer they had was smart, she'll be looking into the 2005 finances of Fani Willis's husband from her first marriage. See, this is called doing your job. But since she was too stupid to do her job, Miss Fani can get it. Yeah. For a right price, Miss Fani like to control you. You could tell you that's a woman that like to control men. And old Nate the Snake, he used to be in control. Now this judge just want to get this thing over with. He's ready to go home. Look at him. Look how the judge is looking. Look how I tell you. Look at Scott McAfee. Man, look at Judge. Judge is like, damn. I gotta deal with this. He the one called for a break. The judge is just like, man, I need a break. I can't deal with this. Why did they give me this case? Damn. He's had to listen to so much unnecessary rhetoric. Like, what does her daughter living in? Does her daughter live with them? What does that got to do? This lawyer don't even know the locations. She don't know who went on trips. You just got through grilling the man who told you about the trips that he took. So you have his information. If you're not prepped and you're not ready to do this, how the hell you gonna call on a witness? And you want the witness to do all the work for you. It's like you gotta ask the questions. Like the judge said, like, lady, look, if you want a specific answer, can you lead the witness, please? Damn. Like, it's a shame. He's got to teach this lawyer how to be a damn lawyer. And she confused, and she answered the questions like 3-4 times, and the judge has got to say, well, she's... See, most of y'all probably just got here, so y'all don't remember it and remember what she was saying. But if you remember what she was saying, then you would understand that this lawyer has failed miserably. In 2005, the woman was giving you information. See, here's the thing about Fani Willis. They tell you, like most people who take the stand, they tell you, don't talk too damn much. Shut up. Oh, what's up, KB? I didn't see KB was in here. They tell y'all, shut up. Keep your mouth shut. Shut your goddamn mouth. You talk too damn much. She volunteered her divorce in 2005 to her first husband as one of the indicators of how she had some money. They should be looking into how her first husband got his money and how he was siphoning the money to his wife, his ex-wife, which is Fani Willis. But the thing is, you got an idiot lawyer in there who want everybody to do her job for her. Yeah, I'm not finna do 4 hours. Uh-oh.
In 2020, let alone live with me as you put falsely in these documents.
You break that up into smaller
Ever.
parts.
And I didn't ask about living.
But you put in your, while we're talking about professionalism, while we're talking about professionalism, she put in 3 different documents.
Well,
He
she'll
lived
have
with me
full opportunity to respond.
In
and
2000
filed that with the court.
in
professionally.
2019,
He's never been to South Fulton. In 2019, I lived in South Fulton. He has never been to my residence in 2019, ever, not once.
in
2020,
2019, he's never been to your residence.
She just answered the question. And then here comes this idiot lawyer once again answered the same damn question. I swear. Now you can't get no more clear than what she just said. She just said it. I mean, right now, you should already know 2019, he never been in a house. How many times do you want this woman to answer this damn question?
Anyways,
I lived in my home in South Fulton before I started getting the threats that were here, a house I paid for with my own sweat and tears. I'm no longer able to live there. But in 2019, I did. And in the 2 months of 2019 that I knew Mr. Wade, 3 months, the beginning of October, all of November, and all of December, Mr. Wade never came to my house in South Fulton. Let me help you out. I lived there in 2020. He never came to my house in 2020, let alone live with me as you put falsely in these documents. In the first 3 months of 2021, when I could still enjoy my home, Mr. Wade never came to South Fulton, and it is certainly a lie that he lived with me.
Now, that should answer the question. But this dumb lawyer sit there and put this in 3 different documents that this man lived with her. And he never been in the locations ever. Now, you tell me that's not terrible investigating? They didn't investigate anything. They just made stuff up and filed it. They throwing stuff at the wall, hoping they find something that sticks. But this lawyer's too stupid to realize that the gold that she was given, she didn't even look into it. She just told you in 2005 she got a divorce from her husband, her first husband. That's where you start prying about the money, because that's where the money starts coming in. How was he giving her money? How much it was coming in? This is where you need to go. This is the goofiest thing ever. Let's hear this goofy lawyer.
so in 2020, so you said 2019, 2020, did Mr. Wade ever visit you at a place that you
He has
resided?
never been to my home in South Fulton. 2020 was before I knew that a phone call was going to be made and I was going to have to abandon my home. As a result thereof, he never visited, lived at, came to, or has seen South Fulton.
You qualified that with your home in South Fulton. I'm
That's where I
asking,
lived in
in
2020.
2020, did he ever visit you at a place that you resided?
How many times? This is the dumbest lawyer in the history of law. I've never seen a lawyer this bad. What do you mean? Y'all, this is what I'm talking about. Y'all were so focused on Fani Willis, y'all did not listen to how bad this damn lawyer is. This lawyer is awful. This is a terrible lawyer. I would have fired this lawyer. I'm like, how many times are you going to ask her this question? Can you at least ask her in reverse? Do something different. She's answered this question from the very first time she opened her mouth. Move on. Get to a point. Are you going to get to anything here that's relevant? You keep asking the same question over and over like something's going to change. Just move on. It's not, you're not even expanding on the question. The judge is probably asleep. Like, he waiting for somebody to say, objection, Your Honor. The question's been answered. Can we please move on?
Okay, I don't understand. You have to give me that. In 2020, I
she's-
lived in South Fulton.
Okay,
That's the only place I lived in South Fulton. That's before I had to abandon my home, Judge.
all right.
And at my home in South Fulton,
Miss
he never came there, okay? So if you don't come someplace, you can't live there.
Willis, I'm gonna have to caution you. That's gonna be the first time I have to caution you. We have to listen to the questions as asked. And if this happens again and again, I'm gonna have no choice but to strike your testimony. So I need to break this down. Ms. Merchant's question, I believe, was asking whether you lived anywhere other than South Fulton.
I did not live anywhere but South Fulton, Georgia in 2020. That is before I began my prosecution of this case, and it was my plan to only live there.
Did Mr. Wade ever visit you at the condo that you leased from Miss Yurdi?
He visited that condo, yes.
He did.
Yes,
Did he ever spend the night at that condo?
no,
Just visited.
yeah, but he did visit for sure.
Did you ever go out to eat together, other than the lunches you talked about,
In
during
2020,
2019 or 2020?
I would think that we probably went to lunch, but it wouldn't have been, let me think, 2019. I'm gonna say, I don't know, I'm gonna say we probably broke bread someplace in 2019. I don't remember it, but it seems like we would have broke bread sometime in 2019. So I'm gonna say yes, although I have no recollection. But it seems to me like I go out to eat and drink with pretty much everyone, so I'm gonna say yes.
So outside of the vacations that we've already talked about, did you ever go out to dinner with Mr. Wade?
I mentioned to you that I
I'm
have
gonna object as to what time period. Like, we're asking very vague questions. I thought we were treating the witness as hostile under 611. We're no longer doing that. So we're gonna go back and forth. We need to be more specific with our questions if we're gonna treat her as hostile.
All right, Ms. Merchant, it's not so much, I think you can elect between leading and open-ended questions, but I think we are still wondering about, and I think we need to get back on track of focusing on the financial benefit or the relationship.
And my next question about if you did go out to dinner, who paid when you went out to dinner?
He paid, I paid.
You both paid.
Okay, so let me be real clear. We didn't say, oh, the bill is $102. You give $51, I'll give $51. I don't operate like that with my girlfriends. I don't operate like that with anyone. He caught the bill, I caught the bill, whomever.
Did you ever pay him through Cash App?
No.
You only ever paid him through cash?
Well, yes. We're talking about, I'm very confused
You've
now.
never
Like,
given Mr. Wade money through Cash App.
no,
The only money you've ever given him outside of a contract is cash.
I didn't give him money in a contract, so that was cute. But I didn't give him money outside in a contract. What happened? No, we're gonna answer it since you said it. He worked more hours than he was paid, and the county paid him for the work that he did. So don't be cute with me and then think that you're not gonna get an answer.
And I will ask you about the contract in a minute. I asked you about cash. Did you ever pay him anything? And I'm trying to qualify my questions. I'm not talking about the contract with Fulton County that was paid. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about outside of that. Did you ever pay him anything other than cash?
I've only given him cash a few times in the course of what we're talking about.
So you've
If
never
we
used
would
your
go to
credit card?
dinner,
Let her finish her answers.
if we would go to dinner, I wouldn't give him cash because he paid for dinner or I paid for dinner.
Oh, my
I've given him cash only a few times in life, probably 4.
Okay.
Probably the most money I've ever handed him is $2,500. The least amount of money I've handed him, probably between $500 and $1,000.
You never wrote him a check?
Ma'am, I don't have checks.
So you have no proof of any reimbursement for any of these things because it was all cash, right?
The testimony of one witness is enough to prove a fact.
So my
Are you
question was,
telling
do
me
you
that
have
I'm
any
lying to you? Is
proof?
that what you're intimating right here?
I'm asking if you have any proof that you paid him any of these
The
monies.
proof is what I just told you.
You have no written proof. Is that correct?
So
So she needs written proof, but you have a witness that has no proof. But oh my God, I swear to God, this has got to be the worst lawyer I've ever seen lead this prosecution. I don't even know how she's even in law. I really don't. She is awful. I don't know no one has pointed this out. How terrible she is. I mean, she's annoying me. Everybody's focused on Fani Willis. Focus on this crappy lawyer. This lawyer is awful. I mean, seriously. I would get frustrated with a lawyer like this.
Oh, I have some, probably some transactions like in Belize. I probably spent $500 on my card in Belize. I spent $900 on each of our tickets to go to Belize. I did the $700. I probably got some minor expenses in Aruba that would be on a card. But for the most part, for those trips, other than, so the 2 cruises, I gave him money for those before we ever left, because they were pre-booked. Let me answer.
Well, the question was if you had any written proof. And so
I've answered you that I've had written
we
proof.
can move to the next question. If you've answered, if you had any written proof, and that was my question.
I want to make sure that we're clear that for the 2 cruises.
Judge,
and that's
I
the
asked if
cruise
she gave
plus
him written
Aruba.
proof.
We're not going to talk over the show. Ms. Merchant, she answered your question, so we can ask the next question. Ms. Willis and Ms. Cross will have plenty of opportunities to let you clarify your answers when it's her turn.
Thank you, Judge. Knowing your role as district attorney, you know that public funds are scrutinized and money is scrutinized and things like that. You understand.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You understand you're under a microscope. You have reporting requirements, all of those types of things. You have no record other than your testimony of the money that you've given Mr. Wade.
You've already asked that question. Let's keep going.
When you
The judge is trying to speed this thing up. You've already asked that question. Let's go.
took office, you had a tax lien of $4,600. Did you pay that with cash when you made that tax lien whole?
I probably paid through, however you pay.
Okay. So, but you were saying that you had amounts of cash. You still had that lien in 2022 when you were dating Wade and going on these trips. So the cash that you gave him, that could have been used to pay this tax lien off?
You gonna tell me how to pay my
I'm gonna
bills?
object. This is not relevant as it.
You gonna tell a black woman how to pay her bills? Black women pay bills. They ain't gonna pay just because they got the money in their pocket. What you think? You think that's how they pay? But boy, you think that's how the black people pay their bills? They don't care about the $25 late fee. They ain't gonna pay the bill when they feel like paying the bill. The hair must get done. The nails gonna get done. I'm going on my trip. They gonna get it when they get it. You finna tell a black woman how to pay her bills. Boy, are you kidding? Now, anybody black know, like, yeah, she right. F that bill. I'm gonna take that trip. What is she supposed to do? Not go on her trip to pay the bill? You gotta pay them anyway. Eventually, might as well go on your trip. Give them a little bit. Go on your trip. Come back. Give them a little bit. Pay them when you feel like it. You don't tell this black woman how she's. Well, you got money in the house. You got enough money to pay the bill. What the hell? That's not your business. What the hell?
Relates to why we're here today.
Mr. Merchant, are you trying to establish that she was insolvent in some way?
I definitely was trying to establish that she did not have these mass amounts of cash that she's talking about. Yes.
All right. Re-ask the question.
You had a tax lien in 2022, $4,600.
Did you say I did?
And you did not use this cash that you had to reimburse Mr. Wade to pay that off, correct?
No. I went shopping too when I didn't pay it off.
And you talked about, you gave a lot of interviews to some authors of a book called Find Me the Books, right?
I would not characterize it as a lot. I probably have spoken to them
No, I'm
2 or
gonna
3
object.
times.
My question is relevant as to.
I think it's already come up that finances are discussed in the book. I'll overrule that.
Thank you.
Ms. Wilson, you can continue your answer.
What came up with Mr. Wade as it relates to hearsay statements that he was asked about in relation to what Ms. Willis may or may not have said in relation to an author. So it's not relevant to the testimony that's occurring. It's at this time.
I think Ms. Merchant has said that inside the book, she also makes a statement as to her own finances, and that's at issue.
Miss Merchant. I don't know. Look at Miss Merchant like she was on the volleyball team or something. Looked like she was blowing one of the guys that was in the Trump organization, and they didn't put her through law school, fast-tracked her and made her the damn lawyer.
So you gave interviews to the authors of this book, correct?
Once or twice.
Okay. And
Three times, just to be comprehensive. I don't know if it was 3 times, 2 or 3 times, I think.
you were quoted in the book, and I will give you a chance to say if this is a misquote. You were quoted, when they asked you about if you wanted to run for office for DA, you were quoted, "I really don't want to be financially effed up again." Do you remember saying that?
So what that refers to, so that
My question first is if you remember saying that.
I remember saying something similar to that, but I would like to be able to explain what that's
That's
in
fine.
reference to. That's not in reference to anything else. It was a huge sacrifice to be district attorney in Fulton County, huge. I was doing just fine. I had a municipal court judgeship that was paying me $100-something thousand a year, and like you got to show up twice a week. Easiest thing I've ever done in life. I also had private clients that were paying me to represent them. So I was able to have a law practice and that. Raising 2 daughters by myself, there were times in life where things were hard. And so I was telling people, I don't really run for DA. I don't want to run for DA. I'm in a good position right now. I got this easy job that I enjoy, being the chief judge of the city of South Fulton. I'm making money at the law firm, and I'm not sure that I want to make this sacrifice. And why does it always have to be me? Eventually, I prayed. I think that I was the appropriate person. I think that I did that. So when you're referring to that, what I'm saying is, why should I make a sacrifice again? And what I was not talking about is being district attorney. Once you get elected district attorney, you're in a fine financial position. I make over $200,000 a year. What I was talking about is I ran for judge. When I ran for judge, I took $50,000 of my personal money out of my retirement. And that money ended up being lost. And I know when you bet on yourself, you're going to have to bet money on yourself. And so what I was talking about was not wanting to go through the personal financial expense of running for office. By no means did I think that I was going to be financially in a bad position once I won. Let's talk about what I was up against, because it's important to understand that comment. I had a district attorney who had been here for 24 years.
And Judge,
People,
I don't
no,
wanna interrupt her, but
it's
she's
very
answering
relevant as to
questions.
what my mindset was about this. So I'm trying to answer your question. So what I was saying is
Tailored solely to finance.
right, but it is about my finances.
It's about
If I didn't, nobody put me in this seat. So I had already run for office once. I had spent $50,000 of my own money running, and it was vamoose, nothing. And so when I'm talking to those offers, I'm talking about the contemplation of the sacrifice of the run, not the sacrifice of once you become DA. The odds were against me. I was likely going to lose the election based on who I was running against. So that needs to be in the appropriate context.
Isn't it true that the authors also wrote, and you can dispute this if you'd like, that you were broke after that race?
The 2018 race.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a hard race. I wasn't broke like I didn't have any. So broke is relative to depending where you are, but that hurt to lose that $50,000. So I'm sure my mental mindset was like, I just gave $50,000 away.
Right. So they characterized it from their conversations with you that you were broke, you had poured your own money into the campaign, and you weren't able to pay your own bills because of your clients couldn't pay their bills to you, and you had a paltry array of family and asset forfeiture cases. It says you were trying to make it month to month. Is that an accurate depiction of your financial situation at that point?
I would want to read that, but I don't remember clients not being able to pay their bills. Or
May I approach, Judge?
you can.
You may.
Page 13.
Oh my gosh, this is something else. Now, here's the thing. As she clarifies, she lost $50,000 of her life savings that she had in her account. Granted. Now, here's the bigger problem. with this said story and scenario. She don't seem to get, this lawyer rather, that nothing she's saying, she's trying to create a narrative of that she was desperate. She lost all her money in 2018. She started taking shortcuts. She's just throwing things together. To try to make something stick. Now, here's the new case, the new thing here. Now that she done lost her money in 2018, as I told you, she did never, this lawyer is so bad, she never went through Fani Willis's first marriage. When she got divorced with the husband, they got 2 kids. So that's how you would look at the money. And she said she was keeping the cash in the house. How was the husband paying her in 2005? And when she was saving this money in the house, that's what you need to be focused on, is that you're focused on, okay, she had said this, she didn't want to be DA. You're trying to draw and create a narrative and basically putting her on a trial when there is no trial. Yeah, it looks bad she banging this dude, but that ain't finna get your boy out of what he in. They have done Trump so dirty. I swear to God, this whole thing, New York, I wouldn't do business in New York if I don't care who it is. I ain't doing no business in New York. They just showed you they can do and change the rules and do whatever the hell they want. They just gave a woman $84 million just like that. Look how they did Jonathan Majors. I'll be like, oh no, we out of Hymietown. We gone. Ain't no business in New York. That's it. Trump, he can't do business in New York for 3 years. Why? Based off what? Because y'all don't like him? That was a criminal decision. $340-something million. And it's like, are you crazy? They just did Trump dirty in New York. They wasn't listening. They didn't care who said what. They gave this woman talking about her assault case $84 million with no evidence? Oh my God. I'm like, oh, New York is crazy right now. I would never be in New York right now. I'm like, y'all can have it. Y'all won't get no business. Truckers are boycotting New York. I won't blame them. You see how they railroading people out in there? That's what I'm saying. I don't know why Fani Lewis is messing up like this. She should have known if you gonna get something on the job, the Democrats would have arranged you something safe. You don't nail the guy that's prosecuting them. You hired to prosecute and go up against Trump. You don't bang him.
So this fact here, her ex-husband Fred had run into a financial, I have no information
I
about
didn't
that.
ask you about that. I just asked about what they represent from their interviews with you, that you were broke and that you had clients that weren't able to pay their bills.
Can you show me where that is? Because this is where you put the tab, so that's what I read.
Broke, couldn't pay their bills.
Yeah, I'm sure I characterized myself as broke as leaving that $50,000. I don't know that I had her nascent law practice at Poultry Rep.
Well, you just
I didn't have-
Ms. Merchant.
I thought I had a law practice. So this is not correct. I'm
Okay.
sure it's just, I didn't have any asset forfeiture cases. So I had one case where they had took one of my clients' money at the airport. I don't know if that's what I don't know. Poultry array, I did have family law cases. I guess that's what they're talking about. And clients who couldn't pay their bills ain't clients, so no.
So my question was just if this was a fair and accurate representation where it says you were trying to make it month to month at that point.
No, I don't think that is actually a fair and accurate representation, but I am certain that after the 2018 election, I'm still not really happy about having given up that 50,000.
Okay. Are you aware that Fulton County requires you to disclose any relationship with someone that you're doing business with?
I'm not aware, and I know often that things are confused with state constitutional officers in county, but I'm not aware.
So it's not your, so it's your understanding that you don't have a duty to disclose the
She's
relationship?
answered that question. Let's keep going.
Did you keep track of this cash that you paid him at all?
What are you talking? I don't understand.
Did you keep track? Did you keep a ledger? Did you keep track of it?
So I've only given him cash, as I mentioned, 3 or 4 times. There's no ledger. This is friends handing money off to each other.
So the answer is no, you
I
didn't
think,
keep
and I
track.
think you've already asked whether there was any written proof whatsoever, and she's
Yes.
answered that.
Yeah.
So
you
we've covered this.
asked
Let's
this
move on.
She don't have anything.
Who are you referring to when you suggested that Mr. Roman's motion to disqualify was racially motivated?
We already said we're not talking about the forensic misconduct that's been alleged.
And
And just so the record is clear, I don't believe I said that his motion was racially motivated, so I don't want that to stay there. I've never said his motion was racially motivated, so that should not be
Ms. Willis,
true
I
if
think
she
it would
wrote
be
that.
best if we don't need to go down that road. We're going to save that for argument.
you once said that you would not engage with a personal relationship with anyone that worked for Fulton County. Is that correct?
An employee?
Anyone that worked for Fulton County.
I think I said an employee.
So that's the qualification you give an employee. You
I
wouldn't.
think that's the statement that I made, so if you want to quote me accurately.
So it's your position because Mr. Wade was not.
Boom. Boom. That's what she said. If you gonna quote me accurately. He's like, this lawyer is, this merch is 46 years old. She's been around the block. She's had a firm with her and her husband, was a Fulton County public defender. How I wouldn't hire this woman to defend me from a damn jaywalking ticket. This woman should close her practice now. Close the practice now. There is no way I would hire this lawyer. I'd be like, look, can you stack the papers? This is like Legally Blonde. What is this, Legally Blonde 3? As if, Your Honor, she gonna come into the damn law firm holding a puppy?
Not an employee, or it's your position he wasn't an employee, correct?
Mr. Wade is not an employee, and he will tell you that over and over again.
Just one moment, Judge.
Thank you. You have all of this was a big, gigantic nothing burger. There's nothing here.
I'm sorry, the statement, just so I make sure I accurately quote you. What you said was you won't sleep with people who work under you. Do you not consider Mr. Wade working under you?
I consider Mr. Wade to be an agent.
Agent?
All
Yeah,
right.
an appointee is what I really think of him as.
Your point, whatever merit it has, Ms. Merchant, is on the record. Next question. All right. Do we need any moments in a minute? Mr. Sadow.
Man,
Yeah, I'm ready
these
to
dudes
go.
don't go
All right.
away. They just keep popping back up.
I'm going to try to ask you questions that you can actually answer without having to explain, okay?
Yes, sir. My comprehension skills are pretty good, so we should do all right.
We shall soon see. If I heard you correctly, you moved into what I will refer to as the Yurti condo in either March or April of 2021. Is that correct?
Sometime between late February and April. Yes, I don't Just so we're clear, yes. But in that time period, you're in the ballpark. We're in the ballpark.
And is that Yerty condo, would you say that it is in Hapeville?
It is in Hapeville, yes, sir.
And you moved in there for safety reasons?
My father, yes, I moved in there. We were concerned. My father was terribly concerned about me continuing to live at the house. And so they were clear. People came to my house at 5 o'clock in the morning about the police brutality cases, saying I was going to have a wake-up call. There were security threats due to gang cases, and there were concerns due to that was at the very beginning of this, looking into that. And so for all of those reasons and what was happening, my father wanted me out the house, and begrudgingly I left.
Okay, so the answer to the question was a yes for safety reasons, correct?
Those were all of the things that caused the safety concerns. I'm sorry.
I'm not questioning whether they are or are not safety concerns. I just asked that you moved into this condo, the RT condo, for
Right.
safety reasons, right?
Yes,
At the time that you moved into the condo, be it from February to April of 2021,
yes,
was your father still living in your house?
right. Because my father,
That's
yeah,
all I ask you.
but I get to explain the answer, sir.
I don't know if there's an explanation. If I ask you, was your father still living at your house? The answer is either he was or he wasn't.
Yes, but you are going to get to argue at the end of this, as we both know.
I'm not gonna
And
argue
so
anything.
I would
I'm gonna
like
ask-
be able to explain why.
I'm gonna,
And so,
Okay.
yes,
Willis?
because my father is an older gentleman, he was worried about COVID and he stayed.
Ms. Willis, I'm gonna have to say that's second time. Whenever we have to put a pause, you stop testifying, okay? You'll have a chance to explain yourself. The question was whether your father was not staying there at the time, and you're clarifying that in your answer as well. You can have a brief clarification, but it shouldn't be something that reaches well beyond the question. All right, Mr. Sadao, you can re-ask the question. We'll see where it takes us.
okay, thank you, Your Honor. Was your father,
Now, see, this is a veteran lawyer. Now, you see the difference? You see the difference in the lawyers? You see the difference with the lawyers? You see how this guy came in? He said, well, we gonna soon see. Because he knows she got a bad habit of explaining these questions and just keep on rambling. When she should just be saying yes, no, yes, no. Her lawyer should be right there saying, look, legal should be like, look, you don't have to sit there and go through a whole 6-hour explanation of everything that's going on. The other lawyer is not experienced. She's an idiot. She shouldn't even, they probably hired her because of her legs or something. That's what I said. She was in there like, I just really wanted to be a lawyer and my grades are bad. Don't worry, we'll work something out. Give her a legal license. Don't worry, you'll be my personal lawyer assistant. Yeah, there's no way. She don't have a clue of how to handle anything. This guy came up here immediately and started going right with them questions directly in speed.
father still living in your house at the time you moved to what I would refer to as a Yerty condo?
Yes, sir, he was, due to his concerns related to COVID.
The safety concern was that there was potential danger at your house. Is that correct?
Yes, my address had been exposed, so yes, there was concerns about potential danger at my house.
Okay, so anyone staying at your house in the time period after you went to the Yerty condo was still in danger, correct?
Yeah, well, no, he-
I think you have to, it's your attorney, Ms. Willis. Sorry, Mr. Potty, your objection is speculation
Yes.
to the question of
speculation.
whether someone was still in danger at her condo,
I can,
Just let her answer the question.
or Mr. Sadon wants to rephrase.
No, yeah,
I'm not
I
sure.
was able to
I've got
understand it.
I've got the objection and then I have,
I'll withdraw the objection. You can move forward.
Okay,
So, and I remember the question, so I can answer it.
you can now that the objection's been withdrawn. Can you try to answer that question?
Yes,
There's still a safety concern
I was.
for people staying at the house.
Yes, I was very concerned about my father still living at the house. However, if you have dealt with an older gentleman, he was not leaving the house despite my urging him that I thought he should leave as well. He did not want to leave the house because he was particularly worried at his age about COVID. But that became I don't want to say I was not happy with that decision of my father's, but I can't ultimately make him leave. And he stayed there too long, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. During that period that you left to go to the Yerty condo, did any of your children stay at your house?
So I don't think that they were there at that point. Certainly my baby wasn't there.
I'm talking about this entire period. We're talking about, if I remember correctly, and you'll correct me, I'm sure, you said that you stayed there at what I would call the Yerty condo until January of 2022, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm asking you in that period, which would be February to April of 2021 until January of 22, did any of your children stay at your house?
And you don't have to yell at me. I'm able to understand. So I would ask you to not yell at me. That being said, I don't actually expressly remember, but I can tell you since I have left my home, there have been times my oldest daughter came in, but I can't tell you with certainty the time window that you've said, if they did or not. And so I don't want to speculate to that, but there was some time that my oldest daughter came back, whether it was that period or after I left the Yerty residence, I'm not sure. Okay.
Okay, so if I continue to go into more detail on this, you're not going to be able to give me an answer of whether or not, in fact, any of your children were still at the house or stayed at your house during that time period, correct?
What I can give you clarity of so that we are clear is from the time I moved out in February-ish of 2021, after I left there was a time period that my oldest daughter came back. But if you're asking me, was it in that window or after, I just don't have a recollection of that because, you know, your kids come and they go. And so I don't remember the specific time period, and I apologize for that.
Did your children ever stay with you at the Yerty condo?
Like maybe a night, like for a girls' night or something, but live with, no.
Okay. Did anyone else stay with you at the Yerty condo, including Miss Yerty?
Never. Miss Yerty never lived in the condo. She met her husband and they moved. They weren't quite married, but they moved. Nobody ever lived with me in the condo. That was
my word was stayed, not lived. Stayed with you at the condo.
I guess I don't understand the distinction, but no one ever, I think my oldest child, I think she spent one night with me, maybe my oldest and my youngest. But I think that whole time I was in that place, other than that one night, I don't think anyone ever, that was a very lonely period in my life. I don't think anyone ever spent the night other than maybe one night. I remember a picture of my baby sitting on the couch in that place, and I'm thinking she spent that night, but just a very lonely time in life.
Okay.
Wow. Now, don't yell at me. She's not going to be removed from the case. They're not going to remove. You think the Democrats in Atlanta, Georgia is going to remove the DA off the case because of an inept Trump person? No, it's not happening.
Stay with the lonely theme just for a minute. Did Nathan Wade visit you at the Yerty condo from the time you moved in until he was hired on November the 1st of 2021?
So I moved out of that condo, but during that time period, I'm sure he came to visit. He came to visit. I can remember us going, I think the restaurant's Lickety Split. I can remember him picking me up, going to Lickety Split and ordering some food and coming and sitting at my table and eating. So I remember times that he visited me at that condo. Yes.
Okay, could you give us an approximation of how many times Mr. Wade visited you at the condo between the time you moved in and prior to November 1 of 2020?
I don't think often, but I don't want to speculate.
Can we say more than 5, more than 10?
I'm gonna tell you the problem I'm having here. Let's say more than 10, but I'm not sure that that's even accurate. He certainly has come and picked me up, gone to grab some food to eat. I don't remember him being in that condo a lot.
Okay, that's your,
I'm sorry. You want a number, and what I don't want to do.
giving me your current and best recollection is all I'm asking for.
That's all I can give you, sir.
How many times did any of the prosecution team, how many times did Anna Cross come to that condo between the time you moved in and November 1st of 2021?
I don't think Anna's ever been to that condo.
What about any other prosecutor that's involved in the prosecution of this case?
I don't think any of them have.
Just Mr. Wade.
That's correct, sir.
But it was a lonely time.
Oh my God, that 2021, I have a lot of guilt about this time period in my life. Let me tell you why. But yes, it was a lonely time.
Okay.
I was very appreciative to the citizens for giving me this responsibility and this duty. But what I very, very quickly learned is that this is a very isolating job, and 2021 was a lonely time. I turned 50 in 2021. That's probably one of the worst birthdays I've ever had. I spent it alone. So I have a clear recollection of 2021 being lonely.
Okay. Did Mr. Wade ever visit you at the condo, the time period I'm talking about, prior to November of 2021, when Miss Yerty was at the condo?
So Miss Yerty and me, we didn't share the condo at the same time.
So the answer would be no.
But we never stayed there together, so it's an
Well, I'm saying-
impossibility.
It's impossibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Miss Yerty, because we need to get clarification on this. Miss Yerty stayed in that place. There may have been a time that me and Mr. Wade visited, like went and saw Miss Yerty, but me and Miss Yerty never lived there together. Just so we're clear.
Well, maybe that was clear, but I'm going to have to try again.
Okay.
Was Miss Yerty still living in the condo when you moved in?
Not a day.
Okay. So what
That
I'm
was another
talking,
misrepresentation in this. We never lived together. I never lived with Miss Yerty.
my question though, I'm trying to understand
Okay.
that after you moved in to the condo, Miss Yerty she was out of the condo, right?
She got a house.
That's all I'm asking. She's not in the condo.
We never stay, Miss Yerty and I never stay a day together in the condo. All of her stuff was out of the condo, and all my stuff, some of my stuff, not all of it obviously, was moved into the condo. So we never stayed there together. No, sir.
All right. So when I ask you about Mr. Wade visiting the condo, when you were staying there,
Yes,
Miss Yerty wasn't staying there, correct?
that would be correct. Yes.
She wouldn't be at the condo, correct?
No, she would not have been.
It would be you and Mr. Wade alone at the condo, correct?
Yes,
That is, there weren't any other witnesses to Mr. Wade and you at the condo, correct?
yes.
No security, none of your security
I
detail.
won't object. She said it was just her and Mr. Wade.
You made your point, Mr. Sadow. Let's move on to the next one.
Yes, Your Honor. Who in the prosecution team prior to, I guess, the motion being filed by defendant Roman, who in the prosecution team knew of your personal relationship, and now I'm talking romantic, with Mr. Wade?
So, sir, I am extremely private.
All I ask
No, no,
is
no,
who
no.
knew? It's not, the answer is no one knew, that's fine.
No.
I ask you who knew.
You
Let me just tell
answer
you
it and
this.
then explain this, Willis.
I am very private. When I supervised Mr. Body and Mr. McAfee, they didn't know who I was dating, but I can assure you I was dating somebody. So that I kept something private, that's my private life, is not any mystery to anyone. It's like a woman doesn't have the right to keep her private life private. And I'm speaking on this because there've been all these intimations.
You still haven't answered the question, Ms. Willis.
I'm sorry, what was the question, Your Honor?
Is there anyone else who knew about it? And then you can explain.
I don't know. I don't think so. I certainly didn't go out telling my business to the world.
Okay, so the best of your recollection, you didn't inform anyone on the prosecution team that the individual that you had chosen to lead the prosecution team had a personal relationship with you.
So I
Is that
think
correct?
That's inaccurate. Your question is inaccurate.
What?
Because you stated that the person I chose, we had a personal relationship. So we had a friendship. We have all these distinguishing factors. Remember, when I chose him in November of 21, first of all, let's get this straight. Mr. Wade was not actually my first choice. That's no insult to him.
Yeah,
No, it is you, because of the way you phrased the question. You said, when I chose him, I didn't inform people of a personal relationship. We have defined personal as romantic. It is an inaccurate way to state the question.
Then I will
as-
certainly restate it so it is very accurate.
Okay, and please do not yell at me.
Man, see this new lawyer that got it all up. He didn't got her riled up. He got her all riled up. Now see how effectively different he is? This is the difference between a better lawyer and a more experienced lawyer and that lady. He knows how to ask the questions in a way that's gonna really make it direct. So she's gonna go into these explanations and he can cut her off and she's gonna end up saying something she shouldn't say. Then he gets loud. But it's still a nothing burger. It's still a nothing burger right now. He's just going over the same questions that was already answered. But now he's getting to the point to try to single it out. There was no witnesses, right? It was just you and him in the house. She wasn't living there, right? You know she's not living there. The lady was moved out when she went with her boyfriend. She didn't live there. So there was nobody that knew about the relationship, right? No. So, okay. Nobody knew. So it's like, my goodness. Oh my God. He's trying to create like he's looking for the reasonable doubt in her story. Like, we got to doubt this. There's a lot of questions here that we have to air. He's trying to create that narrative. But wherever he tries to put her in the corner, she can just say, well, hell, I can't, there's no way I can remember how many times he's been there. Like, I wasn't keeping count. But now it's getting to the point where she's
You hired Mr. Wade for the first time on November 1st of 2021, correct?
November of 2021, yes,
Okay.
sir.
Your testimony is, whether one accepts it or not, your testimony is that at the time you hired Mr. Wade, there had never been a romantic relationship with Mr. Wade before you hired him, correct?
Yes, my testimony is that we were very good friends, but we're talking about the sex, so let's just don't.
Well, I'm not talking about, I'm saying romantic relationship doesn't necessarily have to be just sex.
Well,
It can
I
be
don't-
dating, it can be holding hands, it can be any of those things that one might call romantic. I'm asking you whether or not prior to November 1st of 2021, there was a romantic relationship with Mr. Wade. It's very simple. It's either a yes or a no.
I don't consider my relationship with him to be romantic before that. I'm not a hand holder, so no.
Okay, that's fine. Now, let's move beyond November 1st of 2020,
Yeah.
2021, excuse me. If I understand your testimony, there was no romantic relationship with Mr. Wade until early in 2022, whether it be January or February or March, early in 2022, correct?
I would say sometime between February and April. Yes, sir.
All right. Now I'm asking you about that time period when it became romantic,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Thank you.
Okay. You didn't see the need, if I understand, to tell any of the people on the prosecution team when you had established a romantic relationship with Mr. Wade, that the lead prosecutor, that is the man that was basically giving orders to others was dating or having a romantic relationship with you, correct?
I'm gonna object to relevance at this point, Your Honor. It's
Mr.
not
Sadell,
relevant.
relevance?
It just to prove or attempting to show that there is an issue on the credibility about the relationship. The failure to have informed anyone on her team that she was having a romantic relationship with the lead prosecutor, I suggest gives rise to that inference. That's the relevance.
The inference that,
The inference that they were concealing this because it was not as it's been characterized to the court, and that in fact it started earlier than what they say.
all right, overruled. Mr. Sadell.
I just want to make sure that we're clear. From at least 2020, me and Mr. Wade were friends, at least that time period.
Okay, I'm not talking
Okay, so
about,
no, I want to be clear because my credibility is being evaluated here, right? We were friends. We hung out prior to November of 2021. In November of 2021, I hired him. I do not consider our relationship to have become romantic until early of 2022. Because I don't know a date and time, I'm saying sometime between February and April of 2022, and very early April of 2022, because I know that trip that I discussed with you was like the first week of 2022, that the relationship had become romantic. I hope that answered your question, but I can't have it where, you know, we're saying something differently.
All right, so you've established the timeline as you put it. The question originally was, at that time, did you tell any other prosecutors?
I never tell people at work who I'm dating.
All right, Mr. Sadell.
did you take any trips to DC with Mr. Wade?
Never.
Did you take, okay, so you have no, what I would call personal trips or business trips to DC with Mr. Wade?
I never went to DC with Mr. Wade, personal, business, otherwise, never.
Okay, so
I've never been in the District of Columbia with Mr. Wade or Maryland, Virginia, the DMV as they call it.
as I understand it, just to be clear, any trips that you would have taken to see DC,
That was a pretty clear answer.
huh?
That was a pretty clear answer.
Asked me
She just said no.
twice.
So do you have a variation or something new to bring up?
I'll ask it and we'll see. Did you take trips to DC that were non-business during the time period that this case or this matter was under investigation?
I'm gonna object as to relevance as it relates to the matter that we're here before Your Honor.
Well, again, the question already asked is, take personal or business trips.
Oh, man.
She said
But that was with
personal
Mr.
or
Wade.
business.
That was with Mr. Wade. This I asked her alone whether she took.
Okay.
What's the
And
relevance?
what would be the relevance of that?
Trying to understand whether or not we have an ability to show a personal trip in which Mr. Wade is there at the same time. I understand her answer. Okay, I understand her answer, but we have documents, we have records that,
Your Honor, I'm gonna
Okay.
object to the documents, the things.
Well, this could be something that's maybe not part of the record yet, but if he has I think there have been other things discussed in this case, and they have evidence that Mr. Wade may have been in DC at the same time. If you want to ask about that exact specific date, Mr. Sadon, you can do that.
I would reference to the court that that was not asked of Mr. Wade. Anything about any trips to DC.
Sure. And so that's going to limit its merit and impact on credibility. So Mr. Sadon, ask the question.
So
whether, I understand your testimony is you never took a trip to DC with Mr. Wade,
that's correct.
personal or business.
That's correct.
Were you ever in DC at the same time as Mr. Wade?
I was not.
on Personal or business?
No, me and Mr. Wade have not been to DC at the same time. However, since Mr. Wade has been on this case, he's been to DC. Since Mr. Wade has been on to this case, I've been to DC. What has not happened is we have not been in the District of Columbia at the same time. Now, the only thing I'm not sure about with what you asked me is if I've been to DC personally, because I got a lot of personal friends in that area, but I know that I have been to DC. I did an interview at Howard University. I went to DC for that. Seems like I've been to DC one other time. Oh, I went to DC for the Global Summit. Actually, yeah, those were two separate trips.
My next question is based on her opening the door, and therefore I'll just ask it and Your Honor can decide whether or not it's appropriate. When you went to DC, did you go to the White House?
I did not go to the White House.
No, well,
Apparently, I'm going to get the answer anyhow.
there you have it. Next question.
Okay.
This lawyer is something else. This lawyer is something else. This lawyer is something else. This dude knew he was this stuff. He knew that question was gonna get struck. God damn, but she's so damn wired. She just answering anything. She's not even waiting to listen to see if her team, her legal team, is gonna say objection. She's already answered. He's like, well, look like I got the answer anyway. He's like, did you go to the White House? Hey, that dude couldn't wait. He's like, did you go to the White House? Did you go to the White House? Like, what does that got to do with any damn thing?
You indicated your best recollection was that your relationship with Mr. Wade, the romantic relationship, ended, you left it in August of 2023. That sound right?
That's the hard conversation. That's not the,
We've covered this. Next question.
And you characterized it as a tough conversation, correct?
yes,
I'm not going to get into the conversation per
we
se.
should.
Well, if he doesn't want to, we won't go there. So, Mr. Sadon, next question.
You know, it's kind of hard to say no when you've got that opportunity. But all I'm going to say is, was it pre-indictment in this case?
So,
We know the timeline that the indictment was delivered. Well,
but,
actually,
and so that
I'll
we're
give you
clear,
that.
the
Okay.
physical relationship ended pre-indictment.
And is that when you were talking about the tough conversation?
But I'm not sure that the tough conversation didn't happen until after, but the physical relationship. So I'm sure if you ask Mr. Wade, because he's a male, he would say we ended June or July because physical contact ended then. Just in my mind, being a woman, it's over when you have that like hard conversation. I just think women and men think differently.
And I think the answer, Mr. Sadon, to your question was she's not sure whether it was before or after the indictment.
Well, I'm not sure that was her answer, but let's see if I can get specific.
That is what I said. That's what I said.
I'll let you. Next question, Mr. Sadon. If you need to
I want to say
clarify.
one more. The romantic relationship ended before the indictment was returned, yes or no?
To a man, yes.
Well, to a man, yes. To you, no?
She's explained this, Mr. Sadon. She's explained this.
And did the forthcoming indictment have anything to do with that? Or was it just a coincidence?
Mr. Let's go on and have the conversation.
I've just asked you whether or not it was a coincidence.
Had absolutely nothing to do with this. It's interesting that we're here about this money. Mr. Wade is used to women that, as he told me one time, the only thing a woman can do for him is make him a sandwich. We would have brutal arguments about the fact that I am your equal. I don't need anything from a man. A man is not a plan. A man is a companion. And so there was tension always in our relationship, which is why I would give him his money back. I don't need anybody to foot my bills. The only man who's ever foot my bills completely is my daddy.
Woo! Now, she just got all the black women votes right there. That was the key line right there. Hook, line, and sinker. I told you, boy, Dad told you what was going on over there. That's Nate the Snake Wade, baby. I told you that's why they split up. He's a Southern gentleman. My ass, all you can do is make me a sandwich and get me my money. She ain't got that money. Now she's seeing who the real guy is. She's seeing who the real guy is now. Get me my sandwich. All you can do for me is make me a sandwich. You ain't got his money. She was like, I'm your equal. Equal? You my equal? Woman, they spell my name M-A-N. Get my sandwich. Oh, man, you think? She was like, oh, no, we had a hard conversation. A hard conversation. It wasn't hard for old Nate the Snake Wade, baby. That wasn't a hard conversation for him. It was hard for her to hear the old Nate the Snake talk like that. Nate be, where's my sandwich? No sandwich? Equal? No sandwich? And you talking about equal? Oh, boy, no, she had that sister moment. She wanted to talk about this. She couldn't wait. She was ready to volunteer it. The lawyer wasn't even going to go down this road, but this was the trap. He should have avoided this situation all the way around the board. This lawyer thought like, all right, she's going to talk about the relationship. This ain't going to go the way you want, lawyer man. You don't ever let a woman explain her side to the relationship on a trial or on a witness stand. She's going to tell it from a black woman's perspective and what she's saying and all of this. And now he looks like a misogynistic man. All the black women going to be on her side. This is just blew up in your face by you letting her go down this road, which she didn't have to go down. You fell for the trap, lawyer, man.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
Now he's like, damn.
No,
Sure.
but I'm sure we'll talk about it further.
No, we're not going to talk about it further.
All right, no back and
Yeah, look, we're not going to talk about it further. He already knows. I'm screwed. Why did I open this up? Why did I do this? I fell for the trap. You hear him right away say, no, we're not going to talk about this further. The more I talk now, all the black women, everybody, that's right, girl. You ain't got to do that to no man. Oh, no, he's already screwed that up.
Before Mr. Stay down, next question.
My next question is something that that has to do with what I've characterized as the church speech. Let me just tell you what the question is, because I know that's not something.
Preserve it for the record.
Huh?
You can preserve the questions for the record, but then we'll move on.
That's correct. Thank you. When you gave what I've referred to as the Martin Luther King weekend church speech, you know what I'm referring to.
A great honor of mine. That's a historic African-American church. Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you have handwritten notes with you that you were reading from during the speech?
And on second thought, Mr. Sadov, because you might have a number of questions about this, why don't we just bullet point what you would want to cover on this to preserve for the record, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
Okay.
Since I had laid out before that the forensic misconduct isn't a
So
subject
do
of the
I
evidentiary
not
hearing.
get an answer for that?
That's right.
Okay. Did you read your speech?
Well, no, Mr. Sadov, for everything related to any forensic.
Oh, you just want me to stay out
misconduct
of it now?
We're just not, we can do it in a bullet form if you just want to cover what you would have asked, but it's not in a question and answer format.
Okay, so I should do that at this point or do it
Sure.
when you're ready?
We can do it right now, so it's fresh on.
I'm going to ask her about, did she prepare the speech? Did she have notes on the speech? Did she read the speech? When did she do this? When did she write the speech? Who was she referring to when she was talking about others? Who was she referring to when she said they? Who she was referring to when she spoke in terms of their, that is.
I would love to answer those questions.
Well, Ms. Willis, you could certainly do that in some other format, but for today, that's what we decided we're not going to cover.
Who was she talking about that was playing the race card?
Look, she's like, I want to answer these questions. The judge is like, no, we're not going down this road. We're not going, no. Judge is like, I'm ready to go home. We'll do this on another day. Why y'all? She can't help it. She got black woman-itis. They want to talk. They want to tell their side. They got to be heard. So she want to, I want to answer them questions. And her legal team, I'm like, you got a legal team for a reason. When this is over, I'll be telling her, I'll be like, look, we're here for a reason. We're here to help you. That's our job, to help you, not the other way around. Oh, it's crazy as hell.
And why she didn't tell the people at the church that she had had a personal / romantic relationship with the, all due respect, the way it was characterized, the black man that she was referring to, and was the black man she referring to was that Mr. Wade.
Okay.
That's that area of inquiry.
Noted for the record, Mr. Sadow. Next topic.
Okay. I realize that you've testified that you have no records that with regard to cash payments,
Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
Would your bank records reflect that you withdrew cash from your bank accounts during the time period of 2020, 2021, 2022, or 2023? I'm not asking you, I'm just asking whether they would reflect that you withdrew cash from any of your bank accounts.
So the exact amounts.
No,
But
just
yeah,
that you did.
Of course, I withdrew money throughout that time period, throughout my life. I withdrawn money from the bank. Yes, of course.
Talking about cash from, that is, that you go to a
Cash,
bank
right.
or you go to an ATM
Cash.
and you take cash out.
Either that way, or you go to Publix and you overpay, or you go to another store and you overpay. So yes, both through that. Yes, of course they would reflect that at times.
Okay, and so those records, if we had them, would show that, correct?
That throughout the course of my life, I
No,
took out
no,
money.
I was very specific. I said
Yes, during the course of
2020.
that time period, I would have taken money out. Yes. 2020 was a year I was running for office. It was a year that he was going through some serious medical issues, and I did not have much contact, but I certainly had contact with him in 2020.
Did you
It
go
wasn't-
out to eat with him?
Maybe, probably.
Did you visit him in any location, his office, or did he visit you in your office in 2020?
I am sure I'm sure, ooh, that's a very good question. I'm sure he came to 750 in 2020,
750 is,
was my office.
okay.
Not often, but maybe once or twice. Maybe I went to his office once or twice, but maybe once.
And the purpose for going to his office would have been what?
Maybe we would have went to Mellow Mushrooms for pizza, or maybe he would have come for lunch. I'm sure we went by each other's office though, but not often, not a lot. We both grinding, trying to make a
But
living.
wait, I understand what you've said about the cancer, and I'm not going into that. But when you were going out with him to restaurants, or when he would come to your office, right? Those were not sterile environments, were they?
Oh, very sterile, because it
The
was,
restaurants were sterile environments?
a lot of times we wouldn't eat there. We would pick up something and go in, but they were, you're
I'm listening to you. You pick up and take it to where?
maybe eat at our office, but it did not happen much. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. And my office in 2020, nobody was coming in. I was stir crazy, so I would still go into my office. You remember when I started this, I said, I am not even sure if we came to each other's offices, but I am trying to be over cautious. So I think I can recall him at 750 a couple of times.
Or cash hoard that you had collected over time?
Cash what?
Hoard, H-O-R-D-E.
Oh, I thought you said something different, sir.
No, I'm afraid. I wouldn't say that any circumstances to you or in
All right,
court.
back on track.
The hoard, cash hoard.
I would not classify it in that way, but
The cash whore. Oh man, these men, I swear, they cracking jokes in this trial, boy. Well, see, that's the thing. To say if she's caught lying, Here's the thing. They have her testimony. They have to prove something. They filed this junction. So they're filing it in the hopes of finding something. You should already have something. They have nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's what this whole thing breaks down to. They have nothing.
But I have money at my house. Yes, sir.
And the money, when you had money at your house,
I'm speaking too loosely. I had money wherever I was staying. So I was not referring to my house in 750. I'm saying I had money wherever I was laying my head. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
The two gentlemen that were in Mr. Wade's office, did they have what I think's been referred to as a taint contract?
So let me be clear, and I may get the names wrong. When I first became DA, the office was not properly staffed. And so I'm surprised any lawyer would take it, but I did a contract for like $60 an hour to help us out with first appearance. That lasted a few months. Okay. So I can't remember if Bradley or Campbell had that. I'm sure we can have records and I can tell you which one, but I just can't remember now. I liked their experience. Bradley had been a probation officer and a defense attorney. Campbell had been a police officer and a defense attorney. There's a reason I'm telling you this. Then that contract, like I said, it didn't last long. It was just, I was aggressively hiring. As soon as I got where I felt like I had first appearance, enough lawyers for that, I let them go. Then we had what's called a filter contract, but it was not filter for this particular case. I do have a lawyer who does the filter for this election interference case. When we're talking about filter, the contract they had that neither one of them has any longer, I now have another lawyer that does that for me. It was only for police brutality cases. It's for what I call so when I first got to be the DA, I had the whole unit was called anti-corruption. It dealt with both elections and police brutality cases. I actually took a trip to Houston and visited the district attorney in Houston. They divided their work up, and I thought the way she was doing it was better than me. And so I made a civil rights unit. And so they did what we would classify as civil rights cases. Those are specifically the police brutality cases. When I first took over, I was told Paul had not filtered 5 cases. That was a joke. It ended up being the 101 cases. They weren't filtered, which is why I hired 2 of them. Eventually, we got it down enough that it was 1 of them. And then now I still have 1 lawyer that does it, but now I've been able to cut those cases down to like 30.
Can you tell me help me understand what the purpose of the filter is?
Yes, sir. So what a filter is police officers make statements in the line of duty, and you are not allowed as the prosecutor to know what those statements are if they're done in the furtherance of their employment. And in fact, if you know what those statements are, you're basically disqualified from the case. You can't have it anymore. So what our policy is, I think I pay them like a $50 flat fee. They pick the case up directly from the GBI because that's where those cases go to. And then what they are to do is to go through the entire file. So the body cam, which is important because sometimes they'll make a statement to their supervisor on body cam, in the police reports where they write things. It would be easy if it was just some statement of the police officer, but what you find out is these statements are embedded in it. And so what your filter lawyer does is they go through it, they either redact it out electronically or they cross it out. And then once it is crossed out, then they provide it to my team, and then we're able to look at it. That was not being done appropriately when I became district attorney. I thought that it had only been, so Mr. Howard had some Chinese wall thing that I didn't think worked at all, where allegedly those cases were properly redacted. That ended up being a joke. And so the 5 cases really turned into, I'm not gonna say all 101, but a vast majority. That is the work that Mr. Bradley and Mr. Campbell did for me. They did a really good job. All of those cases that we originally came with, they're done. Those cases they're not just done for Mr. Bradley and Mr. Campbell, they're done through my office. But obviously life is not stagnant. There have been new police cases. I do have a lawyer that is doing that work now. That doesn't work for me. That's same kind of deal.
Now, that is clearly explained. So they what they're trying to do is find another angle now. They're trying to find any way of the wave of misconduct. So what they're trying to say, for all of you guys who's listening, don't understand the legal mumbo jumbo. Here's what's happening. No, she needed to explain that. And this is the reason why. Because they're trying to find a way to try to come up with a conspiracy theory that the police officers gave up information, but that information is private. They went through the proper channels to get that information legally so that they wouldn't be caught in this scenario that they're caught up in now. So they're trying to say there's anybody, there's no way you're supposed to get legal ramifications and all this stuff from a lawyer, X, Y, and Z. Yeah. So that's what they were saying. So. Yeah, that's enough there. That was pretty much it. The case is pretty much done, but that was like the end of the testimony when she was bringing that in. Well, you got to look at the case. Is there grounds for them to have a case on Trump in Georgia? You got to understand that other people, she's the one that's prosecuting the case. They brought forth all the charges. See, the problem with Trump is majority of the charges he got in the case, if anybody want to talk about that, he created after the fact. It's like if he would have just stood down, he was calling up people, hey, you better get those votes. They got audio of this guy. He's on audio talking to the governor, to another Republican about getting votes. And he better do this and get this election overturned and say that. Oh, they got him on audio tape. That ain't got nothing to do with Fani Willis. See, Trump he gets in his own way sometimes. Like he gets Giuliani, that crook. He's sitting over there, and Mayor Giuliani, Rudy. I mean, like, what you doing with that idiot? You know he a crook. Ain't nothing there. I got my good lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. What is he finna represent? He can't even talk. Then you get him out there. Then there's a whole invasion that takes place out there. Then you say you didn't say anything on the Capitol, and then you just did a speech before that was incriminating. Then you go on a tour of speeches when you could just shut up. They put out a whole spin cycle to try to say these people were hiding votes, and they wasn't, and none of it was true. Then you had Giuliani perjure himself about 1,000 times. He forgets he's a legal lawyer, and they probably forgot about it too. I'm like, good Lord. These people did so much stupid stuff after the fact that led to this. I'm like, dude, you really could have had an argument if you'd have just shut up and just ran again. He was trying to get the election overturned so he can get back in there. He could have ran this year and easily won. He would have easily won had he just not, if he just shut up, took the loss, came back, said, I'm going to get him back. He'd have got himself reelected. Now he's going to have 85 million useless votes because he ain't going to be able to be in that office. Of course, Joe got to go. Everybody know that. Joe should have never had the job in the first place. Joe probably don't even know he got the job. Joe, they'd be like, you're the president. Oh, I am. I'm the president. Yeah. What's wrong? I gotta go poopy. Like, Joe don't know what the hell going on. That's why and they have him speak. He's thinking he's speaking to somebody from 1967. I just had a meeting with him, and they was like, he's been dead for 40 years. He don't know who he just sat down with. I'm like, well, they have got to stop with this Joe. Ironside Joe. He don't know what the hell going on. Hell, I'd rather put the Kennedy in there and vote for independent. Anybody running, I'll vote for the janitor. Janitor, he gonna be W. Look, you cleaning up trash off the streets, and that's your tagline. Joe the janitor. He's gonna be like, hey, what the hell? All I know is I take trash off the street. If you let me, I'll just keep trying to take trash off the streets. You need to make making signs. Vote for Joe. He's gonna get trash off the street. Like, yeah, guess I get trash off the street. Sleepy Joe, comatose Joe. He was Sleepy Joe when he got elected. Now he comatose Joe. That dementia is at like 99.5%. I don't even know how long they gonna go keeping him out there. But anyway, I'm gonna get up out of here, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hit the like button up. And I know we had a junkie out there, and they tried to sabotage it, you know, because the poor junkie man was out there doing what a junkie does, getting in his activity and getting in his own way. And he was crying and whining about it, you know, because he's a junkie. And they need help, you know. So if you know anybody that needs help and they need to get out of their own way, you know somebody like that, you know, just say prayers for them, you know, because it's very clear that there's a lot of people in the world that are hurting out there and they need affection. You know, there's people out there that understand people's plight. They understand people go through addictions. They go through all kind of pains, ills, etc. And there's junkies everywhere, you know. And unfortunately, there are a lot of them here, you know. There are a lot of them in the world, and we just try to bring the awareness to them and so they can go and get help, you know. So for you guys out there listening today, I want to take the time to sing you the song so that you would understand. Junkie Man. Junkie man, junkie man, he's on that lonely road. Broke his heart when he saw his own son fly down a pole. Tears his nails and lips, they carry Jumpers Coke, sweet Mary Jane. Junkie man met a false friend on that lone and darkened road. Daughter was shot, called his name. He couldn't hear her 'cause he was on dope. Tears his nails and lips, they carry Jumpers Coke, sweet Mary Jane. Junkie man, 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 junkie man. Oh my goodness. There we go. And we out the door.